Hello, welcome back, Golan-Globus. It's just another beautiful week of not definitely too hot of weather. It's the right weather for
Yeah,
February.
60 degrees. Yeah.
60 degrees is
Yeah.
the right weather.
What is right, Griff, is that we are just past the halfway point of Black Exploitation History Month. Thank all you brave souls that are sticking with us.
That's right.
To hell with all you racist cowards that disappear for a month.
That's right.
Because this is a special one. So special that I was like, I got to get another guest because it's about our hometown, Griff. Finally, we're finally going to talk about Detroit.
Finally.
And we need more than just two Detroiters. We need a triad of Detroit.
Right.
So I put a call in to our Detroit guy, and I feel sorry for this guy because he has to live in Indiana. And I'm not going to get into why it's awful to live in Indiana.
Yeah.
But he was born and bred here.
Yeah.
And we always, when he needs some home cooking, we call him up.
I'm glad you said home cooking because everything great in home cooking in Detroit comes in threes. You have coney dogs, coney sauce, mustard, onion. Everything's threes here.
Right. Well, right now we all have a coney dog, a Faygo Red Pop, and some Better Made chips. And we're going to have some Saunders fudge later on.
Saunders is Michigan too?
Yeah, it's Michigan.
God damn, we're so good.
So, people, without further ado, you know them, you love them. Indiana's favorite, Michigan's favorite, everybody's favorite, Mr. Matt Socey. Hey, Matt.
Ladies and gentlemen, and those that are neither ladies nor gentlemen, here is a tag team that will take on any tag team, anytime, anywhere, even if it's lazy booking, even if it's a mixed martial arts tag team bout against Sweet Stan Lane and early 80s superstar Billy Graham. It's GGT.
I love it. We need to hire you for our hype man. Lord knows we have no energy ever.
Jim Cornette has a tennis racket. I have a cricket bat, like the guy in Spinal Tap.
Ooh, or Elton John on that cover of that album.
Yes, that's right.
That album. That was my favorite album. Album.
Greatest Hits Volume 2. So.
Okay, I don't know. I just know that's one of the images from back in the day of going to CD stores and having to look at, actual album covers. I kept seeing that one. And the glasses. He pops. Elton John pops.
Yeah,
he knows what he's doing. He knows how to sezzle himself.
He knows how to Cecil Fielder himself? What?
That's right. More Detroit references.
I was just thinking about his son. What happened to him?
Prince?
Yeah, Prince Fielder.
Oh, Prince. Oh, boy.
But if you go to The Onion, they have a number of, when he was playing ball, they had a number of articles at Prince's expense. So,
he's retired by now. He's long retired.
100%.
Right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We manage, because this is my strong suit here, baseball.
Sorry, people. It's going to be all Detroit talk all fucking episode.
Yeah.
Because very rarely do we get to talk about Detroit, because there's not a lot of Detroit movies that are actually filmed in Detroit.
That's right.
Do you remember what the one Adult Swim show was called, where the guy wore the balaclava the whole time, the baklava the whole time?
No, I don't.
Oh shit, I forget what that's called, but he wears a black ski mask.
Yeah.
The whole TV show. And
I do. Yeah. It's a live action one.
It's
right?
good. It's a really good show. It's that John Glasser guy who plays him, and he's ugly as shit. So it makes sense that he wears the ski mask the whole show. But he also has a voice modifier, so it sounds like he has the really deep voice when he's doing secret interviews. And so he goes to a golf course and gets turned away, and some black golfers there see him and they say, "Oh, I see why they turned you away, because he's got a black ski mask." So then he decides that he's an honorary black man, and every shot he dedicates to a black athlete. And John Glasser is from Detroit, apparently. So one of his shots was dedicated to Cecil Fielder.
This is for Frederick Douglass. Oh, come on, John.
Bigotry's taking flights. You gotta get right back on track.
This is for Rosa Parks. This is for Jackie Robinson. Oh, Thurgood Marshall. Vanessa Williams, the OJs, Don Cheadle. This is for Cecil Fielder.
Honorary black pride, fighting for what's inside. You gotta leave it all out on the links. That's what he thinks.
You know, it's not a coincidence that the balls are white, you know? Put them on a pedestal. We advance the white balls. Okay. Think about it.
Great. I'm glad
Yeah. You went really far for that.
we went really far for that one.
I thought one of the villains in Detroit 9000, there was a mobster named Frank Balaclava. So
There was some good mobster names in
Yeah,
here.
and
Fred
Fred Saganaki.
Fred Williams
son.
son. Fred Williams
Saganaki son.
Saganaki son.
But
It's everyone's favorite Greek martial arts guru, Sensei Saganaki.
do you know who is that one Greek woman that every Greek she was a singer and every Greek town restaurant had an autographed picture of her? It was she had glasses. Do you remember her, Matt?
No, I do not, but I think I know. It's the same. It's like the same Euro advertising from 1972.
Right.
Pretty
And
girl with the Euro in hand. That yeah. I
and
don't.
by and by the way, thank you for saying Euro. It grinds my teeth when I hear people say gyro.
Yeah.
It's not gyro, people. It's Euro.
No, it's not, and it's theater. It's not theater. That's also a universal mispronunciation.
Right. So, look, you're a Flint boy. You're a street kid. You know all about blaxploitation.
Yes.
Lay it on me. Lay it on me. How did you learn about this beautiful world of blaxploitation, Matt?
Well, growing up in Flint, the
Murder City.
Yes,
Flint and Detroit go back and forth between the most dangerous cities in America.
And it should also be noted that there's always a competition between, I think, Detroit and Gary when it comes to government corruption. It was like, Gary said, our police chief is going to jail. And Detroit said, well, we'll see you a police chief and raise you a mayor. So,
Right.
no, Flint, growing up there, my dad took me, we did colorblind action movies because Jim Brown and Fred Williamson were no different than Burt Reynolds, Charles Bronson, Clint Eastwood. So, and it's still in existence, the Capitol Theater in downtown Flint. We didn't call it a grindhouse. We didn't get the memo up there. But this is where you went to see all the kung fu movies, all the blaxploitation, all the Italian horror films. And I saw a few of those films there. And then, like a lot of you guys, when home video came in and they needed to put anything up on the shelves, and they were cheap, you got a lot of blaxploitation, and then that Tarantino guy started mouthing some titles and getting more to them. So, in fact, the film that we're talking about this week is a part of his Rolling Thunder home video series of films that he handpicked that he liked, and Detroit 9000 happened to be one of them.
I saw that when I was looking at the IMDb for this, like it always starts up a little trailer for you, and Quentin Tarantino kept popping up. It's just like last week when I was looking up Trick Baby, Henry Rollins kept appearing in front of me. I was like, what the fuck is Henry Rollins doing in front of me right now for Trick Baby?
He was a trick baby.
And it turns out he was a trick baby, which explains everything about, his punk rock career.
Right.
Next stop, Nowhere. That song is stuck in my head. Next stop, Nowhere.
Well, thankfully, you listened to it.
Yeah.
Some other people did.
But wait, what?
You didn't try to kill anybody, have you, with an ice pick? Damn you, punk rock.
Well, Murray, I went to a couple shows and people didn't earn it. So
those mosh pits can get pretty radical.
Those mosh pits can definitely slam circles, is what they're called now.
Oh, is that what they're called now?
Yeah, they're back. They're going back.
They're going
Everything
back,
returns to
retro.
once where it once was.
I like that.
Yeah.
Matt, what are some of your favorite blaxploitation films?
Well, I think the first one I saw with my dad in the theater was 3 the Hard Way. Like Us, only Caucasian.
Exactly.
No, I really dug that. Obviously, Superfly and Shaft and Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song. Anything with Dr. Pam Grier, you can't go wrong there.
Dr. Pam Grier. You know what? I'm glad you brought up Dr. Pam Grier, because I just read a story recently where she said she demanded she do nudity in her movies because she wanted to show the world that black women are just as sexy as every other woman. And I want to say I salute you, Pam Grier.
Salute.
Because
With your
every
hand.
man wants to sleep with Pam Grier.
It's very true.
I know you go back to the first Tippy Tap we did. I think I told the story where Pam Grier humiliated me at a film festival. Worth it. So, but yeah,
Wait.
those have been the ones.
Are we learning about your kink to get embarrassed by a beautiful woman in front of a crowd?
Have
He
you
was a
ever been?
doctor.
Like, oh my god!
That's right. So, and cherry bikini forever. No, no, that's a part of that. And then when my wife and I were dating, I made her watch Foxy Brown and Shaft and Enter the Dragon.
Do you know Griff has the same
oh,
story?
Jesus.
The ultimate aphrodisiac are blaxploitation movies. Because Griff, you gonna tell your story about how I made a love connection? By the way, I'm constantly making love connections. I put together Matt Socey and Joe Corey.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Which story do you want? How'd that happen, or how?
No, I just told how. We'll get to that one later.
Blaxploitation is 100% the greatest aphrodisiac in the world.
Right.
There was a time when Baby Griff was learning about all these new people in his life because I had just met you, and well, obviously I knew Mike and all that, all the comic book boys, Pigeon, Yacht Rock Sean, Hair Metal Sean, whose name was brought up off mic earlier. And so I was trying to get with the lady, and I was like, I just don't know how to make my move. And I was like, here's kind of the conversations. Here's the direction they're going into. And I don't know if it was you or if it was Mike, but someone goes,
It was me.
Human tornado.
Yeah. I was like,
Ooh.
because wasn't it like you'd met her because they were doing a bad movie night?
She did the bad movie, yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, here, I slipped him that.
So you broke the rules and brought a good movie.
Right.
And you put your weight up on it.
There was weight put on something. We dropped slinkies down the stairs.
That's not a slinky.
It's a great first date. So,
What
was I saying? Oh, well, it's all about making love connects. People think we're all about hate. It's all about love in the Golan-Globus
right.
theater.
I mean, we're all about educating about love. What is love? What is lust, aka fog?
But yeah, by the way, Matt, yeah, Joe Corey's great, but we got two like amazing guests right here that you're talking to.
Wait, what? Oh,
Yeah, I know, guys. I know you're on the list. You're
Okay.
you're always on the list. So
you're on the list.
you gotta
I promise I will not swear. I will be on good behavior. 'Cause I think that's what's keeping Matt away. He's like,
no.
I don't know. I can't trust this guy. I don't know what he's gonna say.
I've got great insight on the world of AI intelligence.
Because I don't know if people remember, but I don't know if we've ever talked about it on the episode. I know we talked about it privately, but you are a radio DJ. That is your profession.
Yes.
So
no, I've not forgotten because here's what I do, guys. A long time ago, I learned how to take bleeps out by putting in a bleep. I just take out the word and it sounds like a CD skip. So, no, it's a matter of finding both of your guys' schedules during the day and fitting them together. That's all.
all right,
No,
well,
I'd love to have you guys on Film Sociology on WFYI.org.
Damn right.
look at that beautiful just insert.
I
Like,
know.
if we could,
Seamless.
yeah, I know.
We can't do that. Even when we're doing a Vinny's ad, which we've done for 5 years now, we always slop it all over the place. Like when you trip over a nice bowl of Vinny's, Master Jolie, cannolis.
Yes, but wait till you have the chorizo gnocchi. That's off menu.
Mwah. Chef kiss.
You have to know the owner to get that. You have to know Vinny himself to get that. I love this. I really want to know, since we're on the topic of food, did you ever get to visit a White Tower hamburger?
Yes, when I was a kid. I didn't make a phone call, but yeah, my dad took me down there because you go to ball games or you go see a movie in the city and you go get a burger.
Okay.
Do you think that was? Don't you think Lafayette would have been more appropriate?
Oh boy, probably, but somebody said yes, or they didn't tell anybody and they just quickly filmed and got out.
Yeah.
I bet that's what happened. Yeah, and Lafayette's a little tight. I don't think you can get away with having a camera in
Very
there.
tight. Yeah, I think the White hamburger was probably the way to go. White Tower
White Tower.
hamburgers, probably the way to go. I had to look that shit up because I was like, learning so many things about 70s Detroit. You said this movie was filmed in 72?
Something like 72, 73.
73, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean,
We were just talking about that before we went on air. Like the blaxploitation boom, it was very quick. It was like grunge. It just lasted for like 2 or 3 years, but they churned out a shitload of movies.
They did. Many people will say that Penitentiary was probably the last blaxploitation film, and then they made three, 4 of those. But yeah, by 76, 77, because Richard Roundtree was doing some studio films, and Fred Williamson took his movies and got them financed in Italy. That started his connection with the Italian film world. And yeah, they just kind of faded away. And part of it was also the blockbusters. Fuck those.
man.
Yeah.
It was Jaws and Star Wars that killed all the fun. Now all we have are fucking Avatar movies. Bluesploitation.
Blockbuster. Yeah, vacation films, Dances with Smurfs.
Exactly.
Oh, jeez.
Speaking of Fred Williamson, don't you have a story about Fred Williamson, Matt?
Well, I've here. Let me pick up this name I've dropped. Yeah, I got to interview Fred 3 times.
Wow.
Once for the then only print edition of Film Threat magazine, on the set of Original Gangsters in Gary, Indiana, back in 1995.
That was filmed in Gary, Indiana?
Oh yeah, because Fred was from Gary. And he was a producer
somebody
on
of
it.
worth from Indiana. Wow.
Yeah, he was also lifelong friends with one of the county commissioners. So Fred was smart because he was able to get every available police officer on patrol on his film shoot. He also, on the flip side, also hired many of the local gangsters to be extras.
We hear that about a lot of
It's a very common
yeah,
thing,
blaxploitation movies and everything because they film in such weird locations, that precarious
Yeah,
locations.
you need
let's say.
protection. So
You need
yeah.
that protection, yeah.
So he was smart. He was able to do that. So yeah, I interviewed him for Film Threat. Then I interviewed him for Chicago Cigar magazine in the late 90s when I was working for a newspaper up in the Chicago burbs. And then for the station I work at now, WFYI, we had an arts program, and the Indiana Historical Society had a Hoosier film exhibit, and I interviewed Fred for that. But one of my greatest evenings was my family and I went to Palm Springs. I still had his phone number, and he said, "Look, if you meet me at the cigar place, we'll go hang out." So I got to have cigars with Fred Williamson one evening.
No fucking
Wow.
Yep. And
Wow.
The funny thing was, there was like the one rainy day we had in Palm Springs, and he's like, "What did you do today?" And I said, well, I went to a movie and, was waiting to come over here. And he goes, "What did you see?" And I said, "Munich." And he goes, "How was it?" And I said, it's a really good Spielberg film. And one of the things it does is show you that revenge is not all it's cut out to be. And Fred went, "Shit." So now I'm like, I want Fred Williamson's Munich.
Oh, that would be sweet.
I would have loved to see Fred do more movies because I think we only got like 2 of his solo movies. No, I'm thinking of Steve James. Fred had a lot more solo movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. In fact, when I had him on the film show years and years ago, the art show, I would go through his IMDb and I would say, "Is this true or not?" And he would tell you, "No, that's not true. Yes, that is sort of true." That sort of thing.
Damn.
Yep.
So IMDb is a reliable resource. So when we do our research on IMDb, we're at least 50% right.
At least 50% right.
Damn, that's good. That's a good ratio, though.
Yeah, I had an opportunity. Fred Williamson was at one of the Motor City Comic Cons. I didn't talk to him. I don't know why, but I had an opportunity.
What would your question be?
That's the thing. Maybe I just got too.
I don't know what to
overwhelmed.
ever
I was
ask
like,
any celebrity.
Yeah,
Like,
because they hear it all the time. I like your work. And
Exactly.
That kind of shit. But at the same time, you don't want to be that douchebag that tries to be like smart alecky with a celebrity.
Right. There's no good way to do that. It's business as usual for them. So I don't feel like there's a good way to be like, "Hey, here's this obscure question that I know you'll enjoy, and we'll have this conversation." Next thing you know, we're getting a fucking Sprite over
Next thing
by
you know,
the
we're
vending
smoking
machine.
cigars at the
Yeah.
cigar
What
bar.
the fuck is that?
Matt knew. He knew what to ask him because he got the fucking number.
He's got the inside scoop. He's got the IMDb
We
scoop.
call up Fred's number. And it's the local time. Like he ain't giving us his fucking
we didn't
number.
get his number, yeah.
Fred Williamson.
That's that hard-working journalism degree from the Ball State University.
Where's that one? Ball State.
It's in Muncie, Indiana. I like to do
okay.
the because it sounds silly, and also goes out to all your Columbus listeners.
Yeah. Columbus.
We had
Ohio.
a lot. We actually did have a recent bot bomb from Columbus.
That is true.
So a lot of bots that residing in Columbus.
Columbus really liked us
loved
a month ago.
Roadhouse or something.
Yeah. Those college kids down in Columbus. Clearly.
Now, how long have you been doing the DJ thing? 'Cause it sounds like you had a journalism career before this.
Well, I worked for 2 newspapers, one in West Central Indiana. Then I moved up to the Chicago suburbs and worked there for about 4 years. Did a small stretch with a public radio station in the Chicago suburbs. And then I moved to Indiana to be with my now wife in April of 1999. And a month after I started, I got a job writing for Nuvo, which was the free weekly culture rag. I did that for 13 years. I got the job at WFYI, which I still have, 23 years. And later that summer, I wound up writing for 5 years with Big City Blues, now Big City Rhythm and Blues, that is published out of Detroit.
Oh, shit.
So you just kind of did you just fall into the radio thing? Did you study doing radio?
I did. I had a radio show in college, and then I was with WDCB at College of DuPage in Glen Ellen, and I did about 9 months there. And they had an opening at FYI on Sundays, and I took it. And then within, a couple of years, I was co-hosting an arts program, and then about a year or so after that, I wound up. There was an opening for. We had a longtime blues host that had to retire, and I took over. And the Blues House Party will turn 20 in August.
Jesus.
That's pretty amazing because, radio is a tough gig right now, isn't it? Most people don't listen to the radio.
Exactly. So, part of the problem. But no, I'm just clawing my way to the middle. So I knew early on that, there's no such thing as a public radio millionaire, but you have to love what you do. And so between this and I do some theater work on the side. I've done some teaching on the side. I've done some writing here and there. You carve out a living, which is with arts and arts education. That's hard to do anywhere. It's especially hard in Indiana.
Yeah, I imagine.
You're a Renaissance man.
You really are. Now, I had a big important question that Murray was all worried. He's like, no, you cannot ask him that question.
Once, but I was in college.
Great. He already knew. No one else has to know what the question was. That's like the big Douglas Adams mystery. So, here I am watching the great show Frasier. And I'm realizing Frasier lives a fucking high-ass life. He's got the
he's in
apartment on way up, balcony, view, all the shit.
Deluxe apartment in the sky, like George Jefferson.
That's right.
Right.
And so my question is, and Murray's like, you can't ask Matt how much he makes in radio. And I said,
rude.
No,
you don't ask people
I don't
want to
ask him that. I want to ask him how much a Seattle talk show therapist,
not syndicated.
Yeah, local talk show therapist radio show would make in 1993.
Well, here's a couple things you have to consider. One, I believe Frasier has the same realtor that handled Margot Kidder's Lois Lane penthouse apartment, playing a newspaper and working on a newspaper reporter's salary. So there's that. I'm sure there's also the rent control aspect, like in the show Friends, and all nannies look like Daphne, and all producers look like Roz.
Yeah. Well, Seattle's a very cheap place to live. I've been there before.
Very cheap.
It's
right in the height of grunge, people were selling their luxury apartments, so it was very easy from Frasier to move from Boston over to Seattle, and that was probably like $85 a month or something.
Exactly. So it's who you know and how you're able to hustle your liquid.
Right. Okay. Original influencer Frasier Crane. I get it. That's awesome. That's good to know.
You know what's really good to know? This movie, Detroit 9000. Is that a good segue?
It was okay. I mean, you've done some.
I'm talking to the master right now. So I'm a little. Not you.
I segue the best.
Master Sager.
Yeah.
They call you Bob Seger.
Oh, and the Silver Bullet Band.
What's your opinion on Bob Seger? Because I've noticed these kids hate Bob Seger. Griff despises Bob Seger.
Him.
I'm Switzerland on him. I think he's fine. Yeah.
Bob's our Michigan Springsteen. So Oh no, I got to see Bob in '86. Here's the thing: if you could, I always remember this film called Go Tigers, which was about high school football in Massillon, Ohio. In the opening scene, they bring when a boy is born, the booster club would go and put a little tiny plastic football in their crib. I think in Michigan, you had the option of either a Bob Seger or a Ted Nugent album. Now, which one would you pick?
Nuge.
Yeah, I think I'm going with a Nuge. I mean, he's a dick, but
Horrible
come on,
human being.
fucking Wang Dang, Sweet Poon Dang.
Yeah.
I mean, that's poetry, right?
Yeah. Strangle.
It is poetry. That's true. That is true.
Hey, Great White Buffalo is a great fucking riff. All right, I'm gonna.
Oh, it is.
Oh yeah.
All right.
So Bob Seger never did that for me.
He's a Piston fan, so I'm cool with Bob Seger. I always see him at the Piston games all the time.
Yeah, if I ran into him at a Pistons game, like what's going on?
I mean,
with
old
Ivy
time
tonight?
rock and roll. That's straight up dad rock. I could see why you'd hate that.
Nobody needs that, but I mean, those albums from the mid to late '70s is it's about as solid as it comes in the dad rock Michigan Springsteen world.
I think Dennis is still a Seeger fan, right?
I don't know.
I think he swore by the early albums too.
Yeah, that's what most people do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in the wrong here probably, but still, it's like because my family did a trip to Florida every year. That's like 24 hours of driving, I believe. And my dad would go to the library, and he was all about taking every resource he had available to him. So we go to the library, he'd get Dave Barry books on tape. So a big Dave Barry fan because of that.
Yep.
I liked that part of the road trip, but then he would also get like Bob Seger cassettes and shit like that. And
I get that. I get that. My kid is 21, and I think I ruined certain bands, or they just lump it as dad rock, and there's nothing you can do about that. So I understand. Oh, that I understand.
Yep.
But no, I don't mind Seeger at all.
But something we don't mind here at Golan-Globus Theater is a great movie that features a beautiful skyline, a certain skyline that you can see when you drive down beautiful I-75.
Yeah, I noticed. When did the Renaissance Center get built? Because it was not in the 70s. It was the 80s, right?
No, probably late '70s, early '80s. I remember. Oh my God, because that was an event because
that's our Empire State Building, people. The Renaissance Center.
Or if you remember in Sharky's Machine, they had one tower that looked like the Renaissance Center, but Detroit had three because we're better.
Right.
But yeah, I remember seeing. I want to say it was Assassination, the Charles Bronson film. In the Ren Center, they had a movie theater for a while, but that was like you went, you shopped, you had dinner, you go to a movie, and then you got out before sunset.
That's fucking cool. I like that though. I like a matinee.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I want a matinee. Shit. What was I gonna say there?
Detroit 9000.
Detroit 9000. Sure.
Movie set in Detroit and filmed in Detroit, which is rare. So it was nice seeing like, oh, I recognize that place. I know that. The mentions. There's a lot of fucking Detroit Easter eggs that we'll point out to you throughout the episode.
The one thing that I can never explain to somebody because you didn't grow like most people probably didn't grow up seeing Detroit houses, but when they did all the interior house shots and everything, I was just like, fuck, that is such a Detroit house.
Right.
And that made me so happy. Like this movie, the first time through, never mind, we'll do that in the other half. Fucking Christ, Murray.
Should we just get to the trailer so we can get
we tried to do that once already. Let's try a second time.
All right. If one of us goes down, people, call into Detroit 9000 and you'll find out what I mean on the other side of this trailer.
Radio 9000, officer in trouble.
Trouble? When you got the biggest ripoff of the decade in the murder capital of the world, you've got more than trouble. You've got disaster.
As of this moment, I am your candidate for governor.
It's gonna get solved, or the town's gonna explode.
no police protection. Now, if it had been a white affair, wouldn't you have had a half dozen cops on duty?
You're gonna take a slug at me and make it good. You understand what I'm saying? Dan Bassett is the man.
I'll do better than that.
No matter what happens, he loses. Sergeant Jesse Williams used to be an all-pro. Now he's in a different league.
This may sound crazy, but you and I working together, we can make it all fit. Break this thing, Danny.
Another hot flash. Thanks, but no thanks, Sergeant. It's my case. If I need you, I'll ask for your help.
I don't believe you, pigs. You're just all alike. You don't believe anybody, do you? I bet you don't even believe each other.
Roby. Beautiful Roby. The hooker who couldn't stay out of trouble. Ferdy. The sweet Mac. Ferdy's out after the big score.
Baby, you want to see your sugar man dead, huh? Because that's what I'll be. These guys don't play around.
Detroit 9000, the number that spells trouble.
Go for it, you bastard.
Welcome to the greatest fucking trailer ever. You might have heard Quentin Tarantino in there because he's all about this movie.
Yeah.
I did mean to ask in the first half, this movie, if you look at, and we don't use this as a resource because it's an awful resource, Rotten Tomato, it is a splat. It's a dud. It's like a 3% for movie critics.
That's harsh.
Yeah, and I know usually review type shows wait till the end. Fuck that. We're doing it right now. Would you say this movie is a good watch or a bad watch?
It was a good. I mean, it did have very amateurish directing. I thought it had a very made for TV vibe, which kind of brought it down a little for me. But I enjoyed it. I mean,
Matt,
this is what I would call a pizza and beer film.
Okay.
Yeah, you put it in, and it serves its purpose. I do have one question though. What's Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, that's right. What is Rotten Tomatoes? Some aggregate, rating site for films. You've never heard of Rotten Tomato?
I think he's being sarcastic.
Oh, God damn it! His fucking Indiana wit just goes right over my head.
They're very dry. Very dry.
Michigan wit. Thank you very much.
Yes.
That Gary Indiana
Thank
charm.
you. He doesn't want to be associated with Indiana.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
He was lucky enough to find one of the good ones in Indiana and marry her.
That's right.
But it's a hellhole.
Here's what I say about Indiana. Being a Piston fan in Indiana is like being a Muslim on September 12th, except the Muslims have 3 rings.
Oh, we never. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. We're gonna do a tangent here. What was because of course we remember the Malice at the Palace when the Pistons got into a big brawl with the Indiana Pacers. What was Indiana's take? Was it Detroit or just thug?
Oh yeah, pure thuggery on Detroit. Although you had a head case laying on the table.
Right.
And by the way, who won the title that year? You're welcome.
Exactly.
So, no,
who hasn't won a title? Yeah, we know that too.
Yeah,
Indiana.
so that doesn't bother me. On the flip side, Colts fans are griping. You've won a Super Bowl in your lifetime. The Lions have had 1 Super Bowl win in my lifetime. You don't know pain.
They've never had a Super Bowl win. They've had championships.
Yeah.
Like before the Super Bowl.
Before my lifetime.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So,
that's the thing. I'm just hanging on because I've been lucky enough to see every Detroit team win but the Lions. And now we're hoping.
Yes,
we're hoping.
We're forever cursed walking the earth like Lady Hawk.
Yeah, really. I want to feel bad for Indianapolis because they're going through the hellhole that the Lions usually go through. You guys don't even know who your coach is. Who you had Reich or Rich or whatever his name was.
Right, Frank Wright.
Yeah.
Frank
Former
Wright.
backup of Buffalo Bills. Jim Kelly.
And then you ended up with Jeff Saturday because they said, anybody can do this job. And he got the job. And we all know how that went.
And they still haven't done anything. So no. And
Quarterback hell. Good luck.
The Lions will get on Hard Knocks again because Mr. Coach Kneecaps is very colorful and
Dan
fun.
Campbell. Put some fucking respect on that name. He is great. I love
right.
Campbell.
Don't start
Give it his
1
red
and
nose.
6.
Yeah.
Don't start 1 and 6, and you'll get my respect.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was a rough start. It was a great finish. Rough.
This is
fucking
sports
start.
talk. Gotta be a GGT.
It's Detroit 9000, and guess who was
Getting back to your Rotten
Okay.
Tomatoes, what I loved, I just love seeing Detroit because look, people, we got a chip on our shoulder for a reason. Detroit gets shit on so much and for so long.
Yes.
And we're a great so much great culture that you're not even aware of, but we're going to expose it during this episode. Comes from Detroit.
I know. I made
Bob
this,
Seger alone. We just talked about Bob Seger.
I made this joke last week, I believe, but we are the birthplace of techno, I believe.
Yes, we are.
And I
we
don't
are the
know
birthplace of techno, Motown, and punk rock. Yeah, I said it, people. Punk rock came from Michigan.
Ooh,
That's right.
Claim. That is a
New
bold
York,
claim.
get the fuck out of here. London, fuck off. It's
My
Detroit.
big problem with this movie is that it's got so many good parts that work together. It's got budget Steve Martin. It's got a great character, and I forget who the actor's name was, but Jesse was great.
He was great. I liked him.
I liked him a lot. I loved our fucking the politics of this worked for me very well. Like just how everyone's a fucking weasel in politics. That's very true today. We're seeing that all over the place. And so there's so many great parts, but the editing of this movie was a mess. It goes on 12 minutes too long. The action scenes are suggestions, like they're just long. We just see people running for a good long while, and it's like, yes, I get it.
It's kind of like they felt like this is an action movie, so we have to insert an action scene.
Right.
So they just threw it out there.
And it didn't need to be there. Like they had a kind of cool story. I liked the story. It's just they padded it the fuck out. And
it didn't need to be because it was an hour 46. It could have been a nice tight 90.
You could have made it 90 minutes and still worked with everything and had all, like, Danny's an interesting character. Jesse's a good character. Chalmers is a piece of shit captain. You love that. You need that. Yeah. And he had anyways, we'll get into that. But I really, really enjoyed this movie. But yeah, the first time through, it was kind of a slog because it was like, where the fuck are we going here? Who's this character? I think I noticed it in your notes as well, Matt, where it's just like, I don't have names for people that play kind of like C, B level roles, but still big enough roles where it's like, I should have a name for you. And I'm going through the IMDb, like, who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Like, Roby, however you want to pronounce it, because everyone pronounced it every which way. Third listed on IMDb, right. And she has like 4 minutes in the movie.
Well, you know why? Because she is Prince Mama Waldy's wife, Luva.
That was Luva? McGee. Nana McGee, just visually stunning, yeah.
Sorry, Matt, I kept cutting you off there.
Oh no, she's great. I mean, she's been a favorite of the era, and she's been on your show a couple of times, I believe. So, but yeah, I know. I wrote down Reverend Scatman many times because
I wanted to.
His name.
Hey, that was a first for me seeing Scatman Carruthers with the horseshoe hair. He's usually always perfectly bald.
I thought he had hair in Black Belt Jones.
I think he was wearing a wig though.
Okay,
he had like a toupee on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're opening up the movie, and I don't know if this is an iconic thing. I did look it up on Google Maps immediately because I was like, wait, is this still around? I did that a lot during this movie.
Wasn't the opening where Campus Martius is? Because I noticed that statue that's like a Civil War general that they have down there.
I didn't notice that one. I didn't know how to look it up.
Okay.
We don't have the AI technology yet to say the statue in Detroit in the movie.
Civil War guy.
Detroit 9000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
AI is moving. Yeah.
Yep.
So you're saying?
Oh yeah, but no, we're opening up and we've got
nice shots of downtown Detroit. the nightlife.
I like that you say, "Go ahead, nice shots." Just
I
immediately.
do that all the time, though.
Oh no, my favorite is when I'm starting to open the episode. I don't even get a sentence out. You go, "No, it's not cold out."
Murray, you open the door as if you're gonna hold it open for somebody, and then you walk through.
I open the door like it's on the hinges, and Murray's like, "Actually, I unhinge that door," and pushes it over on me.
You know, besides the beginning, besides the opening shot, we have a place card. I mean, you were talking earlier off camera what the title could have been, but we get that place card, just a black screen that says Detroit 9000.
Yeah, it was sad.
So it makes me, makes immediately wonder, like, oh, come on, you couldn't, so you couldn't filter that through.
We needed a Blackula level animation.
That would have been
Hell
cool.
yes.
Cool.
Every film needs a Blackula like animation intro.
Get some like Motown singers like popping up and down and everything. The skyline, that not what's it called building. Anyways, so we're at the Sheraton Cadillac Hotel.
Oh yeah.
Apparently still in existence.
Is it? It's still operating.
I don't think it's operating under that name.
Okay.
But that building is still there.
Okay. Because there are some buildings that I think the Hudson building is in this movie, and that is no longer with us.
Yeah, I looked up. At one point, they end up at 400 East Lafayette, and I looked that up, and that was supposed to be the medical examiner office, and I think that's apartments now.
Okay. So we get a nice scene of the nightlife. We got homeless people with the bonfires.
Homeless people / newsies.
Oh yeah.
See, they were trying to make a couple nickels.
Really old newsies.
Yeah. Oh, and I saw a sign for I-96 there too.
That's right.
That was very cool.
That's a real interstate, people. That was made up for the movie.
Right. I mean, I didn't expect to really be like giddy about all the little Easter eggs.
Because like I said, we don't get this.
It.
We get shit on all the time.
Right.
RoboCop wasn't even. It was filmed in Dallas.
They film like when they do Transformers did some shots here. I think they did shots in the old train station, maybe.
I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like they're not trying to let you know they're in Detroit, but this movie was like, you're in fucking Detroit. It's like we might not be selling it 100%, but if you look in the background, you're seeing all the signs. You're in Detroit, and I loved it.
So we got something going on at that Sheraton Cadillac Hotel. It's a little thing called the Hail Our Heroes. And
if you're going to be a politician, you've got to hail the heroes. And it just so happens that University of Michigan, hail to the victors. I feel like there's something going on there.
Was that a little nod?
They're probably nodding to them because, come on, if you're from Michigan, you know the rivalry between Michigan and Michigan State, for some reason, it's a hot commodity.
Yeah.
It's a hot button issue.
Didn't that beginning also look like outtakes from the Mac Pimp Festival?
Yeah, there was a lot of jewelry, a lot of pimp outfits.
A lot of giant hats and a lot of
giant
shoes with fish aquariums in the heels and
yeah, it was all of that.
I don't remember what the inspector says later. If I would have known the Turner girls were going to be there with $4,000 worth of jewelry.
The Trenton girls, I believe. The
Trenton. You know, that's downriver.
Yeah. The Paris Hiltons of Detroit. Sure.
Yeah.
We all know the Trenton twins. Remember them?
No one in Trenton is wearing that much jewelry or affording that much jewelry.
Yes, the biggest and brightest of the black community is arriving for this Hail Our Hero of Congressman Aubrey Hale Clayton.
Clayton.
Dr. Freud, hello.
Hello.
He does get blown later on.
There we go.
He comes on a blue dress.
We do also see he's got a hype man as well, a reverend.
Yeah. Reverend Markham.
Reverend Markham, a.k.a. Catman Scuthers.
Scatman. Brothers.
I've got...
You know what? I'm going to bring this up. I want to humiliate Griff even more. Getting back to Bob Seger. Okay. You know, of course, I know Matt knows this. The classic Bob Seger song, Catmandu.
Yes.
Griff, for the longest time, thought the song was called Catman Blues.
Oh, it's a blues song about Ernie Ladd, you egg sucking dog. No, I would love that. I want a blues album from Ernie Ladd. No, Catmandu. Just like in Indiana, John Mellencamp had a song called Pop Singer. It said, "Don't want to be no pop singer." And many friends of mine went, "What's he got against Bob Seger?"
Pop singer Bob Seger. I can hear that.
Yeah.
And
because he knows he'll never be, because he is Indiana's Bob Seger, and he'll never be on the level of Bob Seger. So that makes perfect sense.
That does make sense.
I am reminded, there was a period, I think late 80s, early 90s in Rolling Stone magazine. Yeah, I read it. They would have an editorial cartoon on the final page, and it's a classroom setting, and the class is taking an exam, and on the front row and one aisle is Woody Guthrie. And in the next front row in that aisle next to him, looking over his paper, is Bob Dylan. And then the guy looking over Bob's paper is Bruce Springsteen. And the guy looking over Bruce's paper is Bono.
They're all cheating off each other.
You could put Bob and John and Bryan Adams, for all that matters, all in the same cartoon.
Yeah, Bryan Adams is kind of the Canadian Bob Seger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every place has their Bob Seger.
They got to have that.
Blue collar guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there a blue collar singer nowadays? Are we all too old for this? No.
Yes, he's the man of the people.
The fact that, my friend made this joke to me, I'm about to be 36. So 18 years ago, my friend made this joke to me.
After a lifetime ago.
Why is he still calling himself Kid Rock? Shouldn't it be old country?
Oh. I had to think about that one.
That's an old Detroit joke.
Yes.
And then the quarterback renames his name Joe Harrington.
Joey Harrington.
Joey Harrington. Yeah. Fucking Christ. Hey, I was.
Well, there is something about a guy who's like 50 calling himself Joey. I mean,
yeah, I'd agree with that.
You have to.
Yeah, I agree with that. You got the Y in there still too. Yeah.
Anyway, the Trenton twins. This is how big this fucking Hail Our
Triplets?
Heroes.
Were they twins? I thought they were triplets.
I don't even know if they were twins. I think they might have
been
sisters.
No, they were girls. There was 3 of them.
Oh, they were?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's all for Congressman Aubrey Hale Clayton. Matt, do you think this was a thinly veiled portrayal of Mayor Coleman Young, this character, Clayton?
Maybe. He could have been called Aubrey Old for all we know. Yeah, I love the fact that first he's, the whole thing is he doesn't want anything going wrong. He doesn't want anything to go, he doesn't want any flaws in tonight's festivities. And does the whole politician thing of showing up and then announcing, "Oh, I don't want this to be about me," and then it totally becomes about him.
Right.
Yeah, it just so happens that it all falls into what he wanted. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, for people outside of Michigan, Coleman Young was the first black mayor of Detroit. I think, was he the first black mayor of a big city, period? It might have been. Do you know that?
I do not know. I know Harold Washington was running Chicago for a while. I don't have the timeline there, but yeah, it's one of the first. And look how that worked out.
Right. So the thing was, like, he might have started out with the best of intentions, but he soon became a very corrupt mayor. And really, I mean, he wasn't the only reason why Detroit had this big downslide, but he was a good part of it. So because after we had the riots in 67, all the white people just said fuck this, and they ran to the suburbs.
Right. Yep. The great white.
And then Coleman Young got elected, and he was basically like Trump. He appealed to the like Trump appeals to the anger and the resentment of like working class whites and blue collar.
Yeah, he added that to the people who were going to vote anyway.
Right. So Coleman Young did the same thing, but with the black people. So he knew he would get voted in no matter what. So eventually he just got super corrupt. I remember gold cougarans. There was some scandal about gold cougarans in the 80s. So I think I don't know what happened. Did he ever get in trouble with the law, Matt? I don't remember. I
don't believe so. I think he got like a lot of politicians a slap on the wrist, but Coleman Young's hands were bigger and his taxes were a little cleaner compared to Trump.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so it was like he knew he could do whatever he wanted, and the people would vote him in because they loved him.
Okay.
Because
I know the
he didn't take
name,
any
that's
shit
about
from
it.
the suburbs.
Right.
But in the meantime, the city just kept going downhill.
Yeah.
So I think Clayton might be kind of that.
Do you think it was just because? I mean, I know like the big downfall of Detroit. It doesn't help when you have bad management, but at the same time, it's like when you're a city as big as Detroit and you lose all that tax money.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to keep it running?
you heavily invest in one industry, the car industry.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a whole. It wasn't just Coleman Young's fault, but you just played a part. Yeah.
Let's not make it seem like we're blaming all Coleman on
my-
Detroit.
He didn't help.
My hometown was a smaller version of that.
Yeah.
Maybe less corruption, but yeah, we put all the chips in on GM and look how that worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then that's the exact same with me. My hometown's a smaller version of your hometown, and GM was the main, employer. I literally grew up 2 blocks away from a GM plant.
Right.
And yeah, it's just the same thing. We're like devastated now because they moved all the jobs away.
The fucking disruption that was caused by the big three just being like, yeah, fuck everything. We don't care about the city anymore. We want cheaper labor. We want white labor. We're going out to the suburbs. And even the Pistons followed them. They went out to
Auburn Hills, the Palace.
Auburn Hills, yep.
They played in Pontiac first at the Silverdome.
That's right.
They did, and it was funny to watch wrestling and Pistons basketball in that giant ass stadium because at least in arenas you had the black cloths that made the place look smaller.
Right.
Yeah. Damn, they tried their hardest to look like when you look like you had 11,000 people in the stadium to watch an event.
So did you see wrestling at Auburn Hill or at the Silverdome?
Well, WrestleMania 3 was.
I was at WrestleMania 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we all were.
Everybody was.
We were.
Well, Griff wasn't. He wasn't born yet. I think Griff was just born when.
I was at WrestleMania 3, and then the only other event wrestling I saw at the Dome was Hogan and Bigelow beating DiBiase and Andre, and there was about 11,000 people.
Wow, can't believe. I remember I saw a wrestling thing it was at the Silverdome, but it was in the parking lot. They were doing some kind of a festival type thing, like a carnival type thing. And so it was like the summer before WrestleMania 3. Maybe Vince was like feeling it out, seeing where and I saw Hulk Hogan wrestle somebody. I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
Well, Joe Louis would get it about once a month, and every now and then, like the IMA Sports Arena, which is where I had my high school commencement, and I saw George Thorogood there. They had a WWE match. There was an NWA match I saw at the Saginaw Civic Center. I was at Joe Louis when your guy Ron Garvin beat Ric Flair.
Oh, no. Jesus!
We actually watched that recently.
Hell yeah!
I was there.
Heartbreaking.
I got to slap Barry Windham's hand on the way out after the match.
Wow!
Oh my God!
Well, I can top that. I almost got a high five from Tom Zink from the Can-Am.
Well,
I was when at WrestleMania 3. I was right on the aisle. Okay, you remember they had those the cars, but not the Can-Am. Was it the Can-Am Express or was it Tito? And it was Rick Martel and Tom Zink. And Tom Zink is actually famous because he was the first guy to start dishing dirt on the internet about wrestling.
Oh,
I actually have a Can-Am in my notes, which I'll get to in a minute. But no. My dad, my dad's a doctor. He's a retired surgeon. But when in the late 60s, one of his side jobs, after he got his license to practice medicine, he was ringside physician for Golan-Globus and for wrestling in Flint.
So wow, they really kept kayfabe that fucking,
Just yeah,
this was in the late 60s, early 70s. So, kids weren't there. It was all white dudes with cigars and hats and everything. But the first match I remember going to at Joe Louis Arena, the Hart Foundation was coming up the aisle, and some kid in the front threw a drink at Jim Neidhart, and Jim knocked this dude out.
We always hear Jim talk about those stories. I'm glad to hear it. Actually, it's true.
Well, I had put my hand out, and then some kid put his hand on in front of mine, and he got the fucking high five I should have got from Tom Zink.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck you, kid, wherever you are. All right, what are you doing now? You're not doing award-winning podcast. That's what you're not doing.
I did get to one Lions game at the Silverdome because the Lions also played at the Silverdome.
Yes, that was exactly that's what the Silverdome was for. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, was it?
Yes.
Before the Lions and the Pistons moved in there.
Yeah.
Can the
I didn't know.
buy one ticket, get two free kind of thing.
Yeah, oh, Jesus Christ.
I saw the Michigan Panthers. Okay. About that.
Oh, USFL championship representation.
Hey, people, I'm sorry. It's not often we get a Detroiter on the show, and a guy who who probably never gets to talk about Detroit because he's in Indiana. So we're going down memory lane.
It's
sorry.
a Detroit Love Fest.
Yeah.
So we went down to Pontiac.
Yeah.
And my mom and dad did not tell us why we were going down there. They were like, "Oh yeah, we really want to go." Barry was about to hit a 2,000-yard season again.
Yeah.
And so they were like, "Oh yeah, well we're gonna try to see if we could get tickets." And we get in line, and it's like 25 minutes through this line, and the whole time they're like, "Man, I really hope they have tickets." So we're sweating. We're like I didn't watch football every Sunday, but I watched football documentaries constantly on ESPN. That was what they always played. So I was a big football fan, especially because of Tecmo Super Bowl. So I was like, I need to see Barry get 2,000. They tell me this is a big deal. And now I understand it is, but still. And they get to the front and they're like, "Hey, do you guys have any tickets?" And the person goes, "No." And then they pull out the tickets. Fucking parents, man. Fucking had me. I was like 7. They had me.
Here's the thing. I miss the big voice guy from NFL films because he made every team sound interesting and dramatic.
Yes.
Because you never heard the guy go, "The Detroit Lions, they suck ass. They have no hope." You know, it's just everything sounded more dramatic and fascinating with.
Even Alan Alda could play.
Never.
That's
Detroit
right. Okay,
Lions.
so guys, I'm gonna bring this back because I know.
Okay. I was gonna do a recap of the one sentence we had before we started this.
No. Because it was mentioned earlier. We mentioned it earlier in our diatribe. And by the way, thank you for listening to Detroit Sports History on GGT. There is a van outside this event. And on the van, it is Can-Am Catering. So yes, Rick Martel and Tom Zink are doing catering on the side. And if you only notice if you live in this area because there's a phone number and it says Detroit/Windsor.
Yup.
Yeah.
Gotta have some Windsor love for
yes.
for
Windsor, our sister city, people, right across the Detroit River.
Yep.
Right, not South Detroit, up yours journey.
Fucking journey. It's really funny because it's like when Texans come up from Texas to visit, we take them downtown and everything, and then we go, "Oh yeah, you see that right there?" And they're like, "Yeah." And we go, "That's Canada." And they're like, "What? Another country is right there." It's like, you live in Texas. Right. You share a land border. Like, we have this bit of water. Yeah.
Right.
It's fun.
So, all right, we're having this fundraiser.
All right, fundraiser.
For Clayton.
Fun.
It's Congressman Clayton.
Congressman Clayton.
And he's the
Congress
schmoozing.
of what, though? Does that...
Detroit, I'm sure.
Yeah. Local.
Yeah.
State, rather.
I don't know. He might. Yeah, he probably was a state.
I imagine state.
But he's announcing. This isn't just any fundraiser. This is announcing he's going to be run for the first black governor of Michigan. Which, by the way, 50 years later, we still haven't had a black governor of Michigan. But
Big Gretch is great.
Exactly. People love her, man.
They do.
And so he announces that he has his hype man, Scatman Carruthers, Reverend Markham.
Oh, and he's great. You got to have of just really well spoken, unlike me, preacher to be in your corner. Because again, you got to stay close with God in politics.
And then we have a group sing the very erotic song "Touch Me, Jesus."
That's a terrible song, man. There's a lot of those song titles back then. Stop doing those songs, please.
It was like, I don't know if you guys remember or didn't watch, but there was the South Park episode where Cartman and the boys were trying to get a gold record, and Cartman went in the path of Christian music because he realized that Christians will just buy whatever garbage is out there. And his songs were like, "Get down on my hands and knees and praise you. I want to feel your salvation all over my face."
Yeah.
You replace "Baby" with "Jesus" and you got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, while this fundraiser is happening, we see on the outside, a very mysterious group of men wearing
the van, the
Can-Am van, Can-Am Catering.
Van.
They went down to the Avalon Bakery and got some baklava.
Yeah, they're wearing baklavas. They're wearing 2 baklavas. They have one on top of another. So
Yeah.
you can't see if they're what their race or gender is.
They did the Kanye Ye thing where he wears that mesh over his face sometimes because he doesn't. He's a genius.
Yes.
Anti-Semitic genius.
That's his anti-Semitic gear wear.
Yeah. And so these guys are wearing like full white with white lab jacket type situations.
Yeah.
And then they all have their own colored baklava. I mean, barakava.
Barricava. That's like a barracuda and avocado mixed together.
My
A
favorite
barricava.
song is Baklava.
Yeah. Great riff. And so yeah, they're like getting out their fucking machine guns and everything. Guys got an old like fucking German World War II gun.
Yeah, like 3 different guys had those guns.
I'm like, where's Jack Belair when I need him? He would be like literally.
Every time I see a firearm I can't fucking identify, I shiver and I was like, Jack, help! And I hope he hears me and whispers it into my brainwaves.
And it was weird. They had an outside freight elevator. It was like on the outside of the building.
It was scaffolding. It was like they were working on the building while they were doing this event in the Sheraton Cadillac Hotel.
So they're like going up the thing.
Again, the editing really annoyed me about this movie because we're seeing them work. We're going back inside. It's horrible for notes. I can't identify a character at this point aside from what's his name?
Clayton.
Congressman Clayton. And so we're seeing the goons kind of infiltrate. We're getting Reverend Markham, Scatman Cutter.
You got the Catman blues today.
I got the Catman blues with Nick.
That's a Seagal song, isn't it?
I don't want to tell you about my Catman, Scatman.
So Clayton, they cut back to Clayton.
Yep.
And he's announcing he's running for governor, and he's like, I need my war chest to be filled. So they bring out a basket. Apparently, the people at this event, they pay in jewelry because they just start throwing jewelry into the fucking basket.
Yeah, he does the thing where he's like, I'm going to need a lot to run for governor. And then Reverend Markham's the one who steps up. That means your money, folks. Jesus wants your money. Clayton wants your money. We all need your money. We're going to the promised land. The gubernatorialship, the funnest word.
Now, to be fair, guys, the jewelry does help out the pawn shops in the greater Detroit area.
It's keeping the money circulating in the area.
Hey, we know that reality show they had. What was that pawn shop show?
Yeah, no, I don't remember which one. I pass by that every time on my way to Kalos.
Yeah, but that's the one where they film, right? The one you passed by? Because they have another one in Pontiac, which is where they do business.
Yeah. Yeah, the 8 Mile one, or the one off 8 Mile. I forget what road.
All right, so they're just throwing like thousands of dollars of jewelry into this basket because they really believe in Clayton.
They really do.
Even the Trenton sisters, they're just like, just here, take it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. But finally, you hear. I don't know if this picks up. I just punched the mic. I don't know what that does. I've never really done that before, but an announcement breaks the festivities.
Well, we see it like a Walkman. I didn't think Walkmans were even made. I thought they came out in the 80s.
I thought the Stop Making Sense tour was about to start. I was ready for some fucking
I thought
talking
someone
heads.
was going to fly, some Eric Martin was going to start playing it because you see that Iron Eagle tape deck.
That's right.
15 years before Iron Eagle, and it's like half the size. Yet he had that giant clunky ass fucking.
Here's the thing. I think Detroit was known for its Walkman prototype factories, and then of course they relocated to Japan. So
100%. Yeah, no, we were like the Edisons of fucking Walkman technology, tape technology.
The problem is we were Marvin Edison. So.
Marvin Edison. No one's ever heard of him.
Exactly.
So they hook up the Walkman into the PA system, and they're like, ladies and gentlemen, this is a heist. Put all your money in that basket.
Some very nice men in white jackets will be coming. They have great baklava on. You will.
I actually think it was the guy who did the NFL documentaries was doing this.
It definitely was. I can't do honor to his voice.
The white zone is for loading and unloading of passengers. There is no loading in a red zone.
Oh my god, if only it were the People Mover voice, because that thing was terrifying as a child, because the speakers were all broken on it. So it'd be like, yeah, closing doors. Techno. It was probably techno.
That inspired techno, yeah.
Yeah.
What happens next, if I may, I'm going to jump, is really cool, is while the tape is explaining the instructions and being polite and doing all that, see one of the ski mask guys go up to one of the singers. I think it's the group Holland Dozier Holland, which is a great law firm.
Great law firm.
Makes her sing a cappella, and she sings a cappella while they're gathering up the money and everybody's hiding and following. It's actually not a bad piece of cinema moment.
No, that is.
Especially when she's singing Catman Blues. I mean,
yeah, yes.
Catman Blues.
Sensei's outside with his acoustic guitar strumming along. But it's an effective piece of work.
I did really.
It calms everybody down.
I really did like that fucking scene. You're dead on about that. There's so much good. Again, it's just the editing, how they laid it all out when they finally put it out there.
So the heist guys, they grab the basket and they hightail it out of there.
Right. They tell everybody, hey, even the tape's telling them, just keep cool. We're just taking this. We're not taking lives. And sure enough, they take the money, and we're seeing them escape. The escape scenes, again, take way too fucking long. Just show the doors closing. But they have to set up a very odd car accident in the back area.
Well, yeah, because we cut back to the wheelman, and he's freaking out because he sees a street sweeper block the street they're going to escape on.
Okay.
That's right. We have a cleaning truck, a Mustang that almost gets into it, and then Detroit's Finest shows up.
Right. Yeah, because the guy wants to turn into this road that the bad guys are on, and then he's like, I don't know why the street sweeper couldn't unblock the road. He's just sitting there.
Yep.
And the cop shows up, and then the guy's like, oh, shit, because they're in the middle of a heist. They didn't expect any cops were going to be here. And then they get out of the way, and then they load up in their car, and the guy...
It does give the other robbers a chance to get into their van quietly and safely somehow.
That is true. Distraction.
And they just start hightailing. Meanwhile, the guy who wanted to get on the street's coming the other way.
He mistook the brake pedal for the gas pedal.
There's a lot of gas in this car.
and the parked cars.
Right.
Well, we were going through a gas crisis in 72, so everybody had extra gas in their trunks.
It was like Road Warrior, yeah.
Yeah, it was Road Warrior. And yeah, they ended up, he collides into these three cars, and they all fucking blow the fuck up.
Which is a perfect distraction for the bad guys.
That's right. They were all Pintos, apparently.
Right.
So we go back inside. Clayton, his whole audience, they're remaining calm. They're still down on their knees, hands over their head, except for the singer who's still singing. And again, that imagery, that song, everything was great. It was kind of haunting and chilling and everything. And then the tape repeats.
Yeah, we get into we get into a lapse of cassette logic. Does it automatically rewind? Does it flip over? Did he just record the intro and then do it again 10 minutes later? Cassette incontinuity is a problem.
I already know.
Do you?
This didn't just inspire Quentin Tarantino. It inspired David Lynch. This tape, Evil, the presence of evil, operates in different timelines. This act was so evil, the tape traveled through the Black Lodge. That's where the second spool was, in the Black Lodge. So it just repeated. It didn't need any kind of normal earthly mechanical devices to help it.
I thought the first time was his practice run, and the second time was the more polished kind of thing.
Okay.
Wow. Well played. Okay.
All right, so the next day we're at the big press conference. The police are there.
We got a character that we never fucking seen again running this conference.
He's probably supposed to be the police commissioner or something like that.
Commissioner. Let's go with that.
And he's just laying out, like telling them what happened. He's like, these guys got at least $400K last night.
They're the most clever robbers that have ever existed in all time. Bonnie and Clyde, fuck them. No, these guys, that tape, I don't even know how they did it.
Right. Because we didn't have Walkman technology back then. So
right.
How did they have it? I think time travelers.
I'm calling up Lieutenant Columbo because he deals with tapes often.
Oh, yeah.
As we all know.
Now, a black reporter, he has to go, this sounds very fishy. If this was a white party,
Because he calls out the fact that there was no cops on duty.
Right.
All right.
Would that have happened? And he's just like, hey, look, the commissioner's like, look, if we had known that Clayton was going to have this much money, we would have had our finest black cops in disguise, undercover on that site.
Yeah, he tries to play off. It doesn't matter if it's a black party or a white party. We did not know this party was taking place. If they would have requested it, we would have been there.
Therefore, hands tied.
Yeah, hands. And then he mentions, like, if we knew the Trenton sisters, that's why we kept bringing it up before. If we knew the Trenton sisters were coming up with $40,000 worth of jewelry on, we would have had black officers, because it was a black party, in disguise.
Right.
We would have done that.
And then another question is asked, do you think this was a black-on-black crime? Because we don't know the race. They were totally covered. We don't know the races of these criminals.
This inspector does a great job. Let me cut it to you straight. I have no opinion. And he fucking walks out.
And then we hear somebody, get me Danny Bassett. Perfect name for this character, because he is a sad sack like a basset hound.
That's good.
Guys, if I may, remember that there's a press conference inside and there's a press conference outside.
That's right. Yeah, tell us about the Clayton press conference.
There's a great moment where the guy outside being asked by the press, he's like, if the Detroit police can't do it, I'll put the heat on Lansing. Then if they can't do it, I'll put it to the FBI. And at first I heard that line and went, what is the Lansing Police Department going to do about this robbery in Detroit? Oh, you mean the state capitol. Got it.
Yeah, he's going straight to the governor, which is going to be his job.
I didn't know the underrated badassery of the Lansing Police Department handling those Spartans or whatever.
Really?
Fucking Lansing, man. They're tough. They're tough bastards down there in Lansing.
That's right.
So now we're finally going to meet the hero, co-hero of this movie, Danny Bassett. And he's at the doctor's. He's like, where do you think Danny's at? He's at the doctor.
Yep.
Little do we know, we learned that our hero has a handicap. He's allergic to Motown.
He hates all that poppy music.
Tragic. Absolutely tragic.
And how does he medicate? How does he self-medicate? Nasal spray, of course.
It's over the counter.
Over the counter.
Well, his wasn't over the counter. He's like, Doc, I need you to fill up this spray.
The doctor did reach over the counter.
He has the generic white bottle with no labeling on it.
That's true.
Because it's medicine.
My squeeze bottle, as he calls it later. Can you get my squeeze?
If I may toot the horn for the great Alex Rocco, great character actor. His first film credit was 1965. He worked in the 2010s. I believe if you go to Random Roles in the AV Club, he has a great story. But one of the things, part of the reason why he got this role is he played Mo Green in The Godfather. He's the one that takes the bullet to the eye during his massage. Yeah, that dude. And he had already worked on a film called Brute Corps, but he was a classic Hall of Fame that guy that did a lot of TV and a lot of movies playing tough guys or cops or tough cops and that sort of thing. Friends of Eddie Coyle is the same year, which is an underrated crime drama with Robert Mitchum. And he was in 3 the Hard Way, which he did 2 episodes of Kojak, so you'll have to look that up, man.
Shit.
But yeah.
Well, I know him as Joe Polnichek's dad on Facts of Life.
Yeah, that's right. See, exactly. He's all over the place.
Everywhere. I love how the 70s and 80s actors are that way, though.
Or as Griff calls him, what do you call him? The Bargain Steve Martin?
Bargain Steve Martin.
Yeah, I don't know how his banjo playing skills are, but I understand that.
There was a scene where he had rabbit ears on.
Well,
it was hilarious.
He's got
kept mentioning King Tut all the time.
He's got the middle-aged face with that graying hair and everything, so it just reminded me of
40.
Yeah, exactly. And Steve Martin, as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, yeah, you're one of these born 40 types.
So he's like, Doc, get me fill my squeeze box.
Fill the squeeze.
And he's like, you got to face it, Danny, you're just allergic to Detroit. Where the fuck am I going to go on a cop's salary?
You know about Maddie's issues.
Yeah.
Come on, we're getting hints here. This movie does so much good job of dropping in like motivation and everything. Like, why are they here? Why are they doing this? And the doctor brings up Madeline, and we're like, who the fuck is Madeline? We don't need to worry about that. We need to worry about a squeeze bottle, though.
Right.
Just
And then
gotta get that.
he gets his fix, and then he hears that Superintendent Chalmers wants to talk
Super
to him.
Nintendo Chalmers.
Bag.
He goes back to the precinct. We learned that Chalmers actually learned under Danny. He was like a protege of Danny's.
Yeah.
And now he's the fucking captain.
He's got the job above him, and the two of them are vying for it and everything. But it just so happens after he assigns him the case, and Danny's like, "Why the fuck are you giving me this case? I've been out working, lookout all night long, and now you're gonna wake me up with this bullshit. You're gonna put me on this fucking case, this hot case that everybody's looking in on because it was a big old fucking thing. We got a congressman running for governor. Politics are involved." He's like, well, are you upset because I got your job? Let me tell you how I got your job. I studied 1 hour every other week at local college for $200. It cost me a lot. And I shook a lot of hands and I ate a lot of asshole, but I did what needed to be done. What happened?
Doing what needs to be done.
Yeah. He did the doo-doo.
Yeah.
With his tongue.
Okay. And yeah, so we've learned that we immediately have to hate Chalmers because he's a kiss ass. But our man Danny, he's all about closing cases. He's dedicated to his job. He's the one good cop left in Detroit.
So does that make him one of the good ones?
He might be a candidate. I'm not saying just yet, but he's in the running.
Very good.
So yeah, so Danny's like, look, this is a lose-lose case. It's like you're like throwing me under the bus. I don't want this case. And he's like, well, tough, you're gonna have it because you're the best we have. You're the only honest cop.
Yeah, I wrote it out in my notes. If it's black on black, the brothers will claim cover up. If the honkies did it, we never used the term honkies, gang. If the honkies did it, then the whites will think we're pacifying the black community. If the case isn't solved, it's on my tender keister. Keister is a word my dad used to describe the butt. So thank you.
But did he say tender keister?
No, we never said that. That's
Okay.
that's Mike Pence land. We don't want to talk about that.
And then Chalmers says keister. I know a lot about keisters. I eat ass. And so we get. There's a lot of unnecessary chopper work in this movie too.
You know why? Because they could. I think the fact that we get the acknowledgement at the end of the film. If you have an opportunity to use a helicopter, why not?
Yeah. So we get a nice chopper scene. Do you think this was Belle Isle, Matt? I think it was Belle Isle.
Probably was because it's not nearly as clean and tidy as it is today. So yeah, utilize that. Get the shot of the water.
Was it Zug Island?
What?
What is Zug Island, right?
I don't know.
That was a thing that came up in high school that I was like, wait, is that a real place? And it is a real place. It's like a little industry island somewhere.
Well, maybe that was it. But
It
for our non-Detroiters, Belle Isle is an island right on the Detroit River in between Canada and Michigan.
And it's a big attraction now. So if you do come to
was there a zoo on there at one time, Matt?
I don't recall that.
Okay. I know there's an aquarium. I don't know if it's still open.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Okay. I'm about to advise people, if you do end up visiting the Detroit area, Belle Isle is a cool place to visit. Go check out the aquarium. There's a conservatory right next door.
It makes me think about, you won't know this because you'll be too young, but Matt, did you ever go to Bablo?
No, I didn't. And they had great commercials. You go on YouTube and you can see their commercials, and it's one of the happiest places on earth.
How was that spelled?
Boblo. It was an amusement park. It was on another island that was on the Detroit River, and you would take a ferry to get to it.
Yeah, there's a couple things I had forgotten watching this that it makes you go, wait, we had an amusement park in Detroit, and then not to give away too much at the end, we had a cruise line in Detroit?
Yeah,
what the hell? Yeah, I'm like, really?
Zug Island is real, but it is like south of Detroit. Like,
thanks, Journey.
Yeah, thank you. Detroit's there. The red arrow.
Yeah, I think
is Zug Island.
Bablo was too. It was a little further south.
Okay.
And I don't know. Technically, it might have been Canadian too. I'm not sure who owned the island,
I
but
think
it wasn't Cedar Point. That was where you wanted to
that
go.
was. Yeah, you went there after prom. That was that was like a weekend with the family. That was a big trip.
Right.
So I guess the JV squad would go to Boblo.
Right. If you're on a budget, you go to Boblo.
Fuck, I mean, some of the final chase scenes might have been done at Zug Island because it's just train tracks and like fucking smokestack. Tracks and smokestacks.
They could be on Zug Island. I don't know. I just said Belle Isle because they know it's.
If we were better at our jobs.
No, if Quentin would get somebody to do a location feature on the DVD of this film, we wouldn't have this problem.
I mean, I feel like people probably identified it at this point, like, Detroit Sleuth or something, probably have figured out all the locations, but I didn't look into that. And we should probably, take the word of Melania Trump and be better.
Well, they go to whatever this island is, and they find the abandoned Can-Am catering van.
Yeah.
And we get a younger cop. He's like, Danny, I got these hot cheerleaders. Who cares about this crime? All right. This is like the case of the century for Danny.
Right.
And he's like, these chicks are hot. They like old geezers who sniff nasal spray. Hook a brother up. And he's like, I'll think about it. I got to do this case. I'm the one committed cop.
The other part that happens in this, and it happens a couple of times. He referred. His name is Howie. I believe he was a Detroit DJ. Thanks, IMDb. But he refers to them as cheerleaders from Detroit U, and of course, I'm like, well, you mean the University of Detroit? So, enough to change the name of the school so you don't have to face repercussions from the university.
So it's like these guys must have taken a boat to Canada. They're long gone. They're international waters. We're not going to be able to get this.
Right. I mean, everybody, like I said, you can. It looks like you could swim across. That's how close we are to Windsor.
Right.
The Ambassador Bridge is only a few hundred feet long.
And so okay, now we've set up our one lead,
Danny Bassett.
Now we need to meet our African American lead, Jesse Williams.
Jesse, who played ball in his younger days. We'll find out more than once.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like staking out a place. They're gonna like apprehend some guy, wanted man.
Yeah, they're just going to a house. We pull up. We're seeing it's like a 2-level apartment kind of complex type situation, and we see the guy outside of the balcony looking in, sees cops show up, so he shuts his door. They come to the front door, knock on it. Hey, cops are here. Fucking immediately start shooting.
Yeah, blows through the door, kill. So you have the one plainclothesman and the one uniform guy, which is apparently the red uniform in the Detroit Star Trek universe. Bullets go through the door, kill the uniform officer immediately.
Right. 2 people run out to the alleys. All these shots were fascinating to me because it's like, I've been in these alleys. Have I been in these alleys? But I've been in these alleys. The
guy who they're chasing after, I'm going to pick up another name that I dropped, is famous stuntman Bob Miner. The guy he's chasing the streets. So you know Bob Miner because he's the guy who drove the car in Action Jackson with Carl Weathers on it. He's that. I mean, if you look up, he's done like hundreds of films, and he's good enough that he can get like a couple of lines here and there.
Yeah.
He's a pimp. When you do, not if, when you do Scream, Blackula Scream, he is a pimp who gets beaten up by Mama Walde. And I got to meet him on the set of Original Gangsters in Gary, and he was telling stories about the films that he worked on. It's a great that guy who he's got a little gap tooth between him. That's how you can tell. But great with car stunts and great with fight scenes.
Is he the guy who this chase prolongs the chase, or is he the first guy who gets shot?
He's the second guy.
He prolongs the chase before we reenact Dirty Harry when his character is shot and then he's about to reach for the gun.
Yeah.
And Jesse almost does the Dirty Harry speech, but not quite.
Okay. Yeah, I picked up on that too. He was like, it was basically, do you feel lucky, punk? Well,
it was.
Exactly.
The only thing I want to mention in between there, because yes, they go on a long foot chase, and this is one of the padding out the movie type scenes, but I have to bring up, because I love it, his one guy who ran out, the one perp who runs out of the apartment with him, gets shot in like the knee, and the way that guy sells getting shot in the knee, I was like, that That fucking guy knows what
And
he's
then Bob
doing.
Miner used him as a shield. He grabbed
Yeah.
him and started shooting
It was-
at Jesse.
That dude does more shaking and writhing than anybody shot in Death Wish 2.
Well, they're acting like Bronson would, which at that time is
Like
very little.
getting shot and getting a seizure at the same time.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, you get your fucking kneecap blown off. You're not going to be just like, oh no, I am on the ground.
So, okay, so we've set it up. We've got our sad sack but honest cop, and we got our badass black cop. That's all we need.
That's all we
Should've been the
need.
film title.
There we go. Now we're cutting over to the
sad
shores.
sack and the badass.
We learned that Danny wanted to go further upstream as well. I don't think we ever see him go upstream, but we see Jesse upstream or downstream. Downstream probably works more. And they have a body in a trunk.
Yeah, Jesse gets a call from they think is a separate crime because Danny is a robbery detective and Jesse's a homicide detective.
Oh, okay.
So he gets called for a body, and they find a body that was found in a trunk. They had to cut the legs off to fit him in the trunk.
There's some good jokes about it. Why
Plus,
they cut?
we have a white van with nothing on it, with these two little generic siren lights on top. I'm like, I know you have the participation from the city and the Detroit Police Department. They couldn't throw you a van for this scene.
It's too bad. Yeah.
I don't make.
It did say Windsor, Detroit, though.
Yeah.
With the 986
Maybe they
area
couldn't
code.
cross international waters.
I don't know what the Windsor area code is.
Or Tom Zink had a catering.
Oh, by the way, we forgot to point out, we get the scene and the Jesse scene. We have a cop go, Detroit 9000.
Yes.
Officer down. So
Yeah.
that's what Detroit 9000 means, people. It's police code for officer down.
That's right.
You're welcome.
Which I don't know how that fits into the movie. I think, I don't know.
It sounds cool. It's like 5150. It just sounds cool.
So the nerd officer, the nerdy white old officer says, Officer Nerdy, Officer Lewis says, why did they cut his legs off? So they could fit in the trunks, baby.
Right.
Is Steven Seagal in this film?
Steven Seagal doesn't say baby.
All right,
does-
so
Does he?
we're setting the okay. So we don't think, are these two connected? We don't know. Now we're back to Danny's hitting the streets. He's working his Huggy Bears, his criminal informants. He goes to a bar. He's talking to a guy. He's like, "Did you hear anything?" Guy's like telling him a little info. He's like, "I heard it was an outside job. These guys aren't from Detroit."
Right, I heard over a bar, these people, they're outsiders. They're not from Detroit.
And then as he's telling him more, two thugs walk in. They spot the Walker, who's his informant.
Right, and they are dressed like they just came from a reenactment of YMCA. One guy's got the hard hat, one guy's got the feather hood on, and I didn't realize how spot on that little clue was. It's like Ryan Johnson level direction. Just put the evidence right in plain sight.
Is that it?
But YMCA was so big, no one thought anything about it.
YMCA did not come out in 72. Disco wasn't even around in 72.
Did you just say come out and the village people in the same breath?
Yeah, I did.
Yes. Who's the homophobe? So, so this guy's like, oh shit, those guys spotted me. He's like, don't worry. Just, I'll fake a scuffle, kick the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Your cover is not blown.
Punch me in the face. And as soon as he said that to cover his contact, I won't say the words right now, but my hand went up and I was like, my vote is in.
So, for you movie nerds out there, do you know what that's an homage to?
No.
Tell
us.
Did you ever see The French Connection?
Oh,
we've been meaning to.
Oh God! You know what?
Not necessarily for the show, although, but there's a scene where early on where Popeye Doyle, Gene Hackman, shakes down a bar, takes one guy and throws him into the bathroom, and that's the cop undercover. And then when he says to him, "Well, which side do you want it on, left or right?" and they pick which side, and that's where he busts him and bruises his face.
So there's a lot of homages to bigger movies in this movie.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
One of the rotten turds was bringing that up. They tried to do this big French policia type of film, but they failed hard.
How dare you?
Dare you.
Okay.
No,
So-
freedom cop films, not French.
There we go.
All right, people. Now we're going to old WJBK Channel 2 in Detroit.
This is great.
They probably went to the real local station because they had the camera.
This is another one for you, Michigan folks. WJBK is the home of Sir Graves Ghastly. That was my first show host of choice.
Yeah, he's in the background. He's going, yeah.
That's right. Thank you. And there's a show called Buzz the Fuzz, which is the most cramped, smallest set we've ever seen on a television show.
It's literally. It's like a fucking picnic table, and they're like, it's not even like a set. They couldn't even use like the newscasters set.
I think the television station said, "Oh, sure, you can come in, but you can only use this corner and this corner only."
And it's a call-in show, so people
call-in show. Right. Oh my god!
Yeah, remember that, people. It's live.
Yeah, and it's like
live.
Thank you, Bill. It's like the top police, informant, or not informants, but
the police commissioner or whatever's there,
Yeah.
Explaining it to the people. The people aren't buying this hunky nonsense. They're calling in.
Yeah.
They're doing this, asking the same questions that the black reporter did earlier. If this was a white crime, you guys would already have the people in jail. What's going on? And then Danny walks in. He stumbles in.
Right. Which during
the show, by the way, what's more unbelievable is not the phone calls, but the fact that they mentioned this show has been on the air for 2 years.
Only show to do it.
Yes, and so Danny shows up as the show is going on, and then you have to put him in and put the headphones on, and real smooth.
And the first question he gets asked is, what color were the perpetrators of this crime? And he's like, look, I don't give a fuck what color they fucking are, motherfucker.
Someone must have
This is like me on Matt's show. I'm like, motherfuck this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Why we can't be on Matt's radio show is that he is just like, someone pissed on my fucking Coney tonight. Are you fucking kidding me? I don't give a crap. And he throws out every racial slur he can think of at the time. He's throwing around the old Washington football team, the yellow oh boy, the C word, not cunt, the other C word. He's throwing around all the words. Well, we can't say the C word.
I would say the C word, but then YouTube would take us off.
Exactly.
Alex Rocco's doing the George Carlin bit, 7 words you can't say on television.
That's right. Oh, it's so good. It's so good, and he's doing it with the banjo.
And then he's reading Lenny Bruce's court transcripts. It's great television.
And he's like, all I promise you, I'm the only honest cop in Detroit, and I will get my men.
I don't give a who the fuck these people are that committed a horrible crime, and I will get them.
Get their motherfucking asses. And then he just drops the fucking mic.
He takes it off his jacket and throws it down.
Drops his nasal spray and picks it up.
So Chalmers he's chomping on him. He's like, Danny, we were on live TV. You can't say those kind of words on live
radio.
TV. Didn't you hear George Carlin saying these are the words 7 deadly words you can't say?
That's right.
And he's all right. So now we go to the Wayne County Examiners.
Right, look that up.
Oh, yeah.
Apartment. I mean, obviously the building still exists because it's a fucking huge ass building, but it looks like it's apartments nowadays.
Jesse's there too because I guess I don't know why Danny got called about this body because they're examining that body that was found in the trunk.
Yeah, I thought Jesse called him there.
Yeah, maybe. And Jesse, because Jesse, they're kind of like polar opposites because Danny's been through so much shit, he's jaded, while Jesse, he's a star. He's on the rise.
Right.
So he's just kind of like, hey man, I heard, we might have your case might be involved with my case. How about we work together?
Here's the other thing too, and we're gonna get into this more in a little bit here because a lot's revealed by a little conversation Jesse has in a minute here. But it's like it does seem like one person's here fighting for the community, and another person doesn't know if he belongs here.
Right.
So I'll say that.
This is another homage to another film. There's a great crime drama from 1970 called Across 110th Street.
I just watched that recently.
Oh wow! Okay.
It's Anthony Quinn is Alex Rocco, and the black cop is Yaphet Kotto. Same thing. They bring in Kotto's character because Quinn's character's a little sketchy, but he gets results. And a lot of folks know the song by Bobby Womack because it was used in Jackie Brown. The film score for that, one of the good ones in Indiana was jazz trombonist J.J. Johnson. Did a lot of great jazz in the 50s and 60s. He also did a slew of music for films and TV shows in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. But yeah, this is kind of an homage to Across 110th Street as well.
So the Emmy, Quincy, he's just like, look, this leg, you're not gonna believe this. One of the legs looks like someone took an axe to it. It was just it's nasty as shit. But the other one was like perfectly surgically amputated.
Guy was a pro, veteran, seasoned veteran.
And Danny's like, I don't give a shit about any of that. What race was this guy? Was he black? Was he white? He's like, you're not gonna believe this. He's like, negative to both. He's an
I know
Indian.
you said the bad word on the radio. I'm not gonna say the bad word.
He's a Washington football team.
It was John Riggins.
John Riggins?
Sonny Jurgensen.
He was an Indian. And by the way, cause of death, punk rock. And then he just walked out.
Next stop, nowhere.
That's right.
All right, now we get to meet the greatest character in this movie.
My God, one of the most miserable characters in cinema history.
Please, Matt, take us through this. You're clearly
we are at the Longview Sanitarium, which you have to look that up. And so, early on we're like, is Danny corrupt or not? And then we meet his wife, Maddie. I don't know if you ever watched The Sopranos, guys, but this woman makes Ma Soprano look optimistic.
She's awful.
She's terrible. And so she's in a wheelchair. Danny's pushing her along.
Do we know what's wrong with her? Is she crazy or is she crippled?
No, but the fact that she's stuck there and the bills are piling up and she's miserable. And then
well, in her defense, she's in a state-run hospital.
She's in a state-run hospital with all the J words, and folks, you're gonna have to look up the J word.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, that's one that my grandfather would say. But
if you
she's a regular Archie Bunker.
If you watch Detroit 9000, you won't even hear Danny say that on the radio show.
Rhymes with bugaboos. Yeah, there you go.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And she
even bugaboos is offensive.
That's pretty bad. Yeah, and so he suggests another one, but no, that hospital has staff of Polish descent. I mean, she's just a miserable human being. And
they drop Hamtramck.
Yeah, we gotta talk
about
that.
At the time was like an enclave for Polish people. Now it's more Muslim.
And then she chews her husband out for being honest. Why don't you take, if you know the film Kiss of Death, I'd have pushed her down the stairs in her wheelchair and all. So, yeah, just a horrible person. So this adds to, and he's devoted to her. There's that great scene where he's walking out of the hospital and then he turns and looks at the hospital while the sad, Incredible Hulk hitchhiking music plays. And you're thinking, well, maybe he will do something to bend the rules to help out his god-awful, miserable wife.
Right. They get so many of the beats right about this. He's taking this verbal lashing from this
But we learned
because
why? He's Catholic.
Yeah.
Catholics do not get divorced.
We do hear Catholic being brought up. On Hamtramck's note, of course, that is our town of wrestling at this point. We do go down there to see Joe Coleman wrestle at the Sanctuary. We do that in Hamtramck.
It's the city within the city.
The city within the city.
I love that we have a Joe Coleman, but I still sometimes think about 1970s starting pitcher Joel Coleman for the Tigers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize we had a Joe Coleman.
20-game winner.
So
is Joe. So is our Joe.
Our Joe is great too. I gotta make sure he's doing okay. Yeah, well, the last time he wrestled at the Sanctuary was like over a month ago, and we didn't get to go see him. So,
well, this one coming up in March. So.
There is?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I don't know if he's gonna be on it, but there's one.
He better be. But yeah, so we're learning that Hamtramck, like you said, it is mostly.
Did you know there was a pilot made for a sitcom called Hamtramck?
Oh, really?
It was made locally, obviously.
Yeah,
I remember it when it came out, and it was
vaguely remember it, but yeah.
Tom Ryan was like the star of it, DJ here.
Ryan.
But yeah.
So it is mostly a Muslim population now.
Well, yeah, now it is.
But it is also still, if you want to go get a punchki, and that's coming right around the corner.
I had one the other day.
Fat Tuesday. There is still a good Polish population on like the main strip, so that is where you go to get a fucking good ass punchki.
Yes.
That's what they use in the grocery stores.
The last thing I did before COVID hit was go down to Hamtramck and I got a punchki and everything. It was the last
What's your filling of choice?
I like lemon. I'm a
Okay.
lemon man.
Okay.
I've got my lemon tree in my living room. I'm a lemon man.
Okay.
Hey.
So she.
Well, no, let's not pass this opportunity. What's your filling, Mary?
I like Bavarian cream.
Bavarian. What's that, like the custardy
I'm
one?
second on that.
It's
Second
like
on
custard.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt's the same way. You're the custard.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with the lemon, but if Bavarian cream is there first, it's gone.
Okay. Wait, powdered or glaze?
I like powdered more because I don't like it sticky shit on my hands kind of thing. But I'll take a glaze. I don't have a problem with it. But
Yeah, beggars can't be choosers. I'll take both.
right.
Okay.
So she even says, "Why did I marry a pig?" Such a 70s thing to call a cop, like pig. Who says pig anymore?
Yeah.
Okay, Mrs. Pig.
Mrs. Pig.
And she's like, "Why don't you eat ass like Chalmers does? Then he could get me out of this state-run." Hey, don't knock it till you try it. So he's like, oh, God, some Bavarian cream. It's very good.
Jesus Christ.
So and so she's just giving him this shit, and he just sad sex off.
So there's one person in his life telling him, "Be a crooked cop." Just
no,
do it.
everybody's telling him that.
I know, but we're gonna slowly reveal that, Murray. We're building up to that. So we got one person, his fucking wife, who is in a distressful situation, telling him, "Hey, just be crooked. It's okay. You know, I want a better life. You want a better life. Let's do this." So after he leaves a horribly depressing situation, his home life is obviously in shambles. All right, so we're heading back to the office. Dan, of course, is having it out with Chalmers, as he always does. Of course, there's tension between those two. Wants to know, because Chalmers has been getting, Jesse's coming to Chalmers telling him, "Hey, let me in on this fucking case. I want to help out." But Dan's all worried. Who's going to get the credit? If I crack this case, I don't want somebody else getting the credit. I want the name. I want the notoriety.
Right, if I'm going to take all the blame, I should take all the credit, too.
That's right. He's in the hot spot. Not this other guy who's going to come in and be in the background.
And he's like, "I don't give a shit. You're on the case with Jesse now." So now we cut to Jesse. He's at home. His home life, fucking amazing. He's got a beautiful girlfriend who's wearing his pajama tops.
Yeah, he's wearing the bottoms and she's wearing the tops.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
He's got his pajamas on earth.
He's got his own pool table.
In the living, they have a giant fucking den living room area. That's an awesome situation to have with the pool table, like you said.
Right.
Well, if you learn from, there's a great Burt Reynolds movie that came out the same year called Seamus, and he uses.
Is there anything original about this movie? Everything's a callback to another movie.
But he has a pool table for a bed, and the great thing about it, you just put the feet in the pockets, and they keep you warm.
I like the sound of that. I have bad circulation. I want to put my feet in anything that will keep my feet warm.
So they're talking about. He's talking about the case with her, and
yeah. Oh, he's of course trying to give up smoking.
Right. That's his character trait. His nasal spray, smoking. And he's like, "I'm working with this fucking white cop. I don't get him. I don't know what his deal is."
He's trying to work with the white cop. The white cop isn't willing to work with him. He's saying this guy's a fucking pro, and we get those compliments, in the comfort of home. He's willing to say this cop is a fucking pro. This guy
right, because she's like,
totally
"Is he just another one of those fucking whack ass hunky cops?" He's like, "No, this guy's legit. I mean, I got to give it up to him. He's an asshole, but he gets shit done."
Right, and so she's trying to excuse him. She's like, "Well, you do realize he's the minority. The minority in Detroit." Blacks outrepresent whites 9-1.
Mind blown.
Yeah,
right.
That's probably true. In 70s.
Back then, it was after the white flight. Yeah,
exactly. This is post white flight, so it's probably very, very true.
So she's like, "Hey, because I guess she works for the government or something. She knows some people at least."
Oh yeah. So we're introduced to Drew Shepard. His girlfriend.
We're not introduced to him yet.
No. His girlfriend brings up the name Drew Shepard.
Yeah.
And how did we learn about Drew Shepard? She went to school with him, not at Wayne State University, but Wayne
University. So that's next to Garth State University. No, come on, gang. So I'm hoping they ask the schools for permission and they said no, and they're like, fine, we'll just change the name. So that's a bummer.
So Drew Shepard is Clayton's right-hand man. He knows everything that goes down with Clayton. And but this thing is, he hates Clayton. He can't stand this guy. So he's like, that might be an interesting lead. I could probably get some stuff out of a guy who hates Clayton.
Right.
So the next morning, Jesse meets up with Drew. And he's like...
He's driving him to the next big Clayton, festival or whatever.
Fundraiser. And Clayton's like, look, man. He dropped a look, man. He's like, Clayton's a piece of shit. He's such a phony. I can't stand working for this guy. Well, then why don't you quit? Because I'm too deep, buddy. I'm on my way up. So I just bite my fucking tongue, do what I'm told, because unlike Danny, I want to get somewhere in life.
Right. And I believe he even throws it in his face. He's like, oh, so much so you're willing to arrange a robbery? And at this point, they're walking into the building that the big speech is happening in. He's like, fuck no, I'm not willing to do anything like that, but I'm glad it happened. I don't give a fuck about him and his well-being. Fuck these people. That was my Christmas or something like that.
He referred to it as a public service.
Public service. That's what it was.
We have another red herring on who or who could not be in charge of the robberies.
Yeah, there was something that I thought was going to happen that did not happen in this movie.
Oh, well done, screenwriter. Who? Yeah. Dude. Actually, I'm going to do this. A guy named the guy who's a screenplay. His name is
Orville
H. Hampton.
Yeah.
Who got a screenplay nomination in the 60s for a film called One Potato, Two Potato.
Yes.
Did a lot of TV and films. Also did the screenplay for Friday Foster. So there you go.
Another great episode we did. Look it up. Now on YouTube.
Episode. Yeah, go listen to it.
I'm very happy about the screenshot I got for that one too. It is a nobody character, but he's got a board, he's bleeding from his chest, and he's striking it down on the camera.
Yeah, it's Carl Weathers.
Oh, was it Carl Weathers?
Yeah.
So what were you going to say about the screenplay? Just mention that?
Just a nice touch of, it's almost a mystery where we're trying to figure out who's in charge, who set it up. It could it be Aubrey for his own doings, or could it be for the guy who hates Aubrey because he hates him?
Okay.
Could it be Danny because he could be honest or he couldn't be? So we're starting to get some suspects.
Right.
Well, speaking of nice touches, the next scene happens at a whorehouse.
So we know that Jesse's kind of new to the whole detective world and police world.
Because he's a star football player who had retired for some reason.
And he's just become a cop, Steven Seagal style.
Give back to the community, yeah.
Give back to the community. But Dan's been on the beat for decades.
Right.
And so he knows the underbelly as much as he knows the overbelly.
Right.
Yeah,
and
I think that's Madame Ethel's tagline in her whorehouse.
Right.
I'm the underbelly.
Where do you go when you need the dirt? You go to a whorehouse.
That's right.
And he's well known because there's this girl Barb who loves fucking. Maybe she was a cheerleader in another life because she loves Danny.
That's right.
She also might be one of the good ones.
She might. Well, she's sleeping with Danny. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a candidate.
Yeah, let's throw her in the candidacy.
He walks in. There's this fucking sloppy convention here. All these goddamn conventions in the 70s. It was all about fucking whores.
Well, again, at the 70s, this is kind of still probably during the flight movement and everything. A bunch of fucking people were coming in for the automotive industry.
The auto show.
Because these were sales managers for a car company. We won't say which one. So I'm guessing you have to file as many tax returns as far as these conventions. So throw them some food, throw them some women, and it'll be okay.
So when Dan walks in, one of the guys is getting very grabby with a woman.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was Barbara or not, but getting very grabby. And so he slaps the fucking shit out of this it's a Danny DeVito.
Just because you're in a whorehouse doesn't mean you can't respect these women, all right? Come on.
That's very true. We see that all throughout.
Because he's like, how dare you, you bitch? You don't let me grab you by the pussy. And she's like, fuck you, And then Danny beats the shit out of him, as a cop should do.
He asks, are you a cop? He says, you go upstairs and be a good little boy. Kisses him on the forehead, pats him on the butt on his way up.
Then Jesse shows up, And Danny introduces Jesse to Ethel, who's the madam of this whorehouse.
Yeah.
And they're asking her, did any strange things come in? Anybody think would be involved?
We got the one hint from the guy in the bar that some out-of-towners came in.
Right. And when you're out of town, the first thing, when you come into a new town, you got to try out the whorehouses. That's what you do.
I mean, yeah, it's like if you're spirited enough, young enough to do a heist, you're probably gonna want to go to a whorehouse too. The best little whorehouse.
It's like when you go. Nice musical reference there, dude. No, it's like when you go to a restaurant. And you're like, you know what? Give me a burger or give me a pizza, because if you can master that, you can master everything else on the menu.
What whores are your city known for? You know, what's the what's the local cuisine? What's the local whore?
Excuse me, did you just make some kind of weird like? When I was in Brooklyn, I ate a lot of slices of pizza. Was I secretly trying to tell these people where their best whorehouse was?
I would love to see the musical "The Best Little Whorehouse in Brooklyn."
God, that'd be multicultural.
And of course, Detroit whores are known for eating ass. It's all about ass eating in Detroit, people.
Well, we're big on our peaches. That's why you're always eating them.
Yeah.
Detroit style.
Detroit, that's what we call it. Yeah. So.
We're sometimes called the Peach Pit down here.
So Ethel's like, you know what? As a matter of fact, there were a couple new guys I didn't recognize.
And Dan is like, oh my God, did you get all these? I wrote down the details. She knows Dan because Dan's here all the time.
Right. This is home away from home.
Exactly. We know about his whole house situation. He can't fuck his wife because she
has some issues. I don't know.
A terrible human being.
Like, I like to think that
she has a paralyzed vagina. We don't know. I mean,
no.
She suffers from miserable human being.
Exactly. Her handicap is she's a racist, fucking insane person. And he's like, I don't mind all these people.
You gotta love Hamtramck for their racist, insane people ward.
So she's like, come with me. They go to a room and talk, you know. And she's like, I got the descriptions. While that's going on, a character we have yet to meet, a new character, Roby, played by Prince Mama Walder's wife, Luva. What's her name again? What's her name again, Matt?
Annette McKee. Annette McKee, who, did, she was also in Melinda, Hammer, the Fred Williamson film, which you guys should do, Shaft in Africa, film was seen in Bushrod, which was a Western with Max Julian from the Mac, the Eiger Sanction, another one that just worked constantly until about the 1990s.
So she starts eavesdropping because she recognizes Jesse. She's like, I know that guy. So she starts eavesdropping on the conversation.
Right. He confirms that the visitors were, in fact, African American.
They were. And also, so they get, and I think one had a mustache. He said mustache.
Oh, mustache? Okay.
And then he's like, sideburns? It's like, yes, the one with a mustache also had sideburns.
Interesting. In the 70s, that's like 1 million people, though.
Yeah. And so they end, like, she gives the descriptions to Danny. And before Danny leaves, she's like, hey, can you check in with Dr. Cooley, who's like he's the doctor who takes care of the girls at the whorehouse. And we get a nice little reference because he's like Danny's like, well, I guess ever since Roe versus Wade passed, he's losing a lot of business because he used to do abortions in Grosse Pointe.
Oh,
Matt, do you want to tell our listeners about Grosse Pointe?
One of my favorite punk bands is Grosse Pointe Abortions. This is where the wealthy people live in
very wealthy
area. It's kind of like here in Indianapolis. It would be like Carmel. So this was before Grosse Pointe Blank, friends. This is where high suburbs and
I never saw Grosse Pointe Blank. Do they play it off like it's not like super rich?
No, it's more about a reunion. It's a high school reunion film with a lot of gunplay, and nobody needs that. It's kind of overrated. No, but this is a gated community land in Michigan. Which sounds like a white collar amusement park.
But it's right next to Detroit. That's the weird part.
And that's the thing. It's amazing the power of a border, even though an imaginary border, not a wall, which Ohio will not pay for.
One street.
It's just what, yeah, it's just what it is.
It's
So,
literally one street because I did my home theater installations for Circuit City when it's still around, and then eventually for Art Van's / Paul's TV, and we would end up in Grosse Pointe every once in a while, and it was just so fascinating. Because we would cut through Dearborn. Well, we operate out of Dearborn, and when we were going to Grosse Pointe, we would go through Detroit, of course, and you're literally going through the saddest suburbs. You cross over that one road, and you're in every other suburb but the fancier version, the Birminghams and shit like that. I was like, what the fuck happened as soon as you cross that
you
one?
have your pith helmet and your parasols while you were going over there?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. And your opera glasses?
Not opera glasses, but I did wear the gloves because I thought it was cool.
Very good.
So, people, we get a little. I'm just trying to say we get a little social commentary because we got all these people wanting to ban abortion, but we know that rich people will always be able to, as long as there's a Dr. Cooley around, they'll be able to get their abortion.
The kind of politics that went over Roger Ebert's head, and that's why he gave this movie a 2. Roger, I think you need to revisit it.
He's from Chicago. He's just jealous of Detroit.
That's got to be it. He's like, a hot dog has a pickle and a tomato and a pumpernickel.
I love how the only accent you can do is Chicago, and you don't pull it out.
Wait,
for
I
this.
can do Chicago?
You used to be able to. I don't know what that was. That was
I don't know
trash.
what it was. I feel like he's.
I've been a Bears fan for 50 years, and I think the Bears should run the ball more. Yeah.
Well, they
More
did run the
that,
ball a
less
lot.
what you did.
Justin Fields needs to run the ball more.
So Roby immediately runs to another room and calls up her pimp. I didn't get the logistics of this. She's got a pimp, and she also works at a whorehouse. You think?
I didn't get that. It was like subletting.
Could be for the insurance or the 401k. You don't know that.
I would see Ethel probably. She's a candidate for one of the good ones. She probably did have a good,
Yeah, no, we talked about this off.
Good 401k plan for girls.
Guys, I'm serious. It's really hard to pick out one of the good ones in these movies because white people are often, the fucking
terrible.
The dark hand that reaches here, the forceful
In
person.
film, as in real life, yeah.
As in real life as well. And so
especially in Grosse Pointe.
Especially in Grosse Pointe. So it's kind of hard to figure out which one. But yeah, Dr. Cooley. He does take money.
Dr. Cooley's a piece of shit, I think.
No, he takes a lot. Ethel, that was who we were talking about.
Yeah.
Ethel welcomes everybody into her house. She keeps it calm. She keeps it cool. She's
She
not a
points
pimp.
out, because guy was like, you allow black people in this? He's like, we're inclusive at our whorehouse.
Exactly.
Only color we like green is the color we like.
Right.
That's right.
This reminds me of that movie I watched that I can't remember the name of, and that's why I'm bringing it up right now. Because I don't. Yeah.
A little 20 questions.
Here's what I can remember about the movie. 20 questions. I remember the main character wore a giant fur coat. It was in the railroad days out in the West. Macomb and something.
Cabe and Mrs. Miller.
That's it. God damn it, Matt.
Robert Altman's film with Warren Beatty and Julie Christie. Yes, friends, directed by Robert Altman. These are your pledge dollars at work.
Warren Beatty, another guy who can't play tough guys. I'm just putting that out there.
He wasn't a tough guy in that movie.
Yeah, you're kind of true there. But he plays a hairdresser in Shampoo, which is not the Black Godfather or Black Shampoo.
Black Shampoo is the best version of Shampoo.
And you can listen to it.
Underrated episode on this series.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad you knew that movie because I wasn't going to remember the name of it, but it had that vibe. I love the idea of a whorehouse, if you want to call it that.
Cat house.
These
Catman
women,
Blues.
these women are clearly, these women are clearly like able to say no, able to pursue what
they have agency. Yes, you're right.
They have agency, and I love that about it. Even in the 70s, I want to see that.
That's why I didn't understand why Ferdy is allowing that, because he's an old school pimp.
That's what I don't get too. Ferdy is a very progressive pimp apparently, because he's like, hey, they're gonna give me $1,000 for a month of you. I'll take it. And we also learn in a little while that Roby is college educated.
She went to Wayne University. Wayne University.
Wayne.
That's right. WU. Well, I got to mention, Ferdy is done by that guy, Herbert Jefferson Jr. And looking through his IMDb, credits go back to the early 70s. He did an episode of The Partridge Family where he is just listed as Black Leader.
That must have been a very special episode where we learned
Very
about
special.
racism.
But he was also in Black Gun, which I hope you guys do someday. Jim Brown versus Martin Landau. The Slams, which is Jim Brown in prison. The Black Godfather from 1974. Did a Columbo episode and a bunch of TV. But yeah, one of those guys from the 1970s.
Interesting. We might have to sneak in a little bit more blaxploitation type stuff. With
Definitely. Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Not just for February anymore.
You're absolutely right. I'm glad you guys brought that up. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, we shouldn't be segregating. There's so many great black action that I'm gonna go out of my way to incorporate more blaxploitation into our regular rotation.
Yeah, it was kind of hard when we were stuck in the Fred Williamson and Steve James world because they don't have that many movies amongst the two of them. But there's
Fred
a lot
Williamson
more.
has a shitload.
Fred Williamson has a shit.
Yeah,
but
Fred
I
does.
point to Steve James. I know. I know your altar has Steve James on it.
Yes.
What'd I do?
No, he said we know we love Steve James.
Oh no, Steve James. Oh my God.
Yes.
It's a tragedy. He'd gone too soon.
For real. Bowling ball. Every time we see people pile on somebody, we say, oh my God, is he get Steve James out of this one? And we watch way too much of the Royal Rumble last week, and that one, my whole woman, did that, where all the women piled on her, and she bowling ball affected her way out of it.
All right.
Anyway.
Let's get through this movie.
Let's
So
get
she
to
calls up Ferdy, and she's like, hey, some cops are here, and I recognize one of them. He's like, just keep your mouth shut.
He'll recognize me from Wayne University.
All right, so now Dan, he's doing what he promised Ethel he'd do. He goes to see Dr. Cooley.
That's right.
And Dr. Cooley's like, look, because he's like nervous. He's like, look, I got to tell somebody this. I don't want to get in any trouble.
Yeah. Can I even talk to you, though? You're a cop. I don't think I should talk to you. Well, here's the thing. Ethel brought me here, and I have a deal with Ethel. You talk to me, I'll talk to you, but we're going to have to make sure things, And
we get more social commentary. He's like, look, I'm losing my shirt in this fucking clinic I have. I got to pay this. I got to pay Medicare. I got to pay
taxes are too. Well, again, this is the politics of the Great White Flight. The population of Detroit was cut drastically. I don't know if it was half or not, but the people who remained are left that huge burden. So he's like, yeah, my fucking office taxes are incredible now. Tax rates are through the roof. So he's like, I have to do this shit on the side. I have to work dirty. I have to abort whores. Sorry.
I gotta get rid of trick babies.
I gotta get rid of trick babies.
Right.
We don't need another Iceberg Slim.
So he's like, look, all right, I got these guys. I don't know if they were involved with that heist that you're doing, but these guys came to me, offered me $2,500 to amputate a leg.
Here's the funny thing, though. The guy's leg was already fucked up. Was it? He had one leg. Did this guy leave here without two legs? He came in with one?
It could happen.
Yeah, because we learn later on what happened to the leg that gets chopped off. What happened to the leg that he gets amputated?
I think he came into the doctor with two legs and got one leg amputated.
Yeah.
Okay.
But why did he get the first leg chopped off? We learned why he got the second leg chopped off later. Why did he get the first leg?
I think it's cut one, get one free. I don't
know. That was it. He got shot. In the
heist?
In the heist, he got shot, apparently. And so that's why they had to go to the discreet doctor. And he was like, yeah, there's nothing we can do. We got to cut this leg off.
Right.
And that's why he lost one leg.
And they meet him at the Rupert Arms, which is an apartment complex.
That's right.
So now they get another lead. So Dan and Jesse go to the because they find out who they think a suspect in the heist lives at Rupert Arms. Or yes. I think the doctor gave him up. Mr. Henry was the guy's name. I know that much.
Yeah.
So they go to his apartment building. Milo, the superintendent, lets them in.
What? Poor Milo. He's just trying to help out. My goodness.
Right. So he lets them into Mr. Henry's apartment where they're going to wait for him to come back home. So as they're like waiting, what do? You go out on the balcony to have a cigarette like Jesse does, and you watch some lesbians have some lesbian sex in the neighboring apartment complex.
That is 30 minutes of the film right here.
Yeah,
Right.
interesting.
This was not padding. This was essential to the plot, I thought.
Would you like?
These 2 or 3 ladies could have been a part of the heist. You don't know that.
Right.
I was just gonna ask, how does this play into the overall theme story?
Everybody's a suspect.
There we go. Do
we
wanna,
learned that Jesse's kink is lesbian?
Do we want to put it? He wasn't even that interested. He kept walking away from it.
Yeah, because he points out that he's like, I'm stiff everywhere, but where it needs to be.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's on his business card.
Now, Murray, do we put this lesbian scene on the Speedson scale? Do we dare?
Yeah.
Because I think we do.
I didn't hear any music, so there's no fuckable.
So we get no points there.
No.
But the fact that they are adulteresses.
Adulteresses? I don't know. How do you know anything about them?
What we do know from what we learned.
The third party shows up and they have a nude
So
does that make it worse or does that make it hotter?
That makes it hotter.
Okay.
Because it is a forbidden love.
Okay. Well, it's double forbidden love.
It's 70s gay romance. And
were there any bandanas? Did we see any in bandanas to know what they're doing?
Everybody,
cruising reference.
I told Murray all the bandana codes last week.
Yeah, we're thinking about we need to do a sex thriller month maybe, which brought it on because of your Eyes of Laura Mars. I was like, maybe we need to do a thriller month.
Yeah, erotic. Erotic thrillers. Ooh boy.
Dress to Kill, Cruising, Body Double.
Yeah, you might have to. That
would be fun.
Anything by Brian De Palma. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
So
Brian De Palma.
Strap it down.
All I can say is I feel like it's that even without the music, the intrigue, the silence, it's kind of like an art film through a window and
For
everything.
1972, very taboo in a movie.
Exactly. So on the Svitsin, I'm giving it a fucking 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't that. I'm like Jesse. I wasn't that impressed. I was like 5, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
Dude.
He's just not a horny dude. He's got fucking great woman to go back to. You know, she's wearing his pajama bottoms right now.
She's wearing the bottoms.
Oh wait, she's wearing the tops. Oh, you know
that
what?
might be even hotter wearing the bottoms.
Oh, he has steak at home and he's watching really good hamburger across the way. So.
Right.
He's looking across to the white.
It's
Tower
Kobe
hamburger.
beef, but it's a hamburger.
There we go.
So yeah, he watches it. He goes back in. He's like, he drops that line. He's like, I'm stiff everywhere but where it counts. And then we got to have a little racial tension between the cops. He's like, I thought you African Americans. He did not say that. He dropped one of the lesser offensive racial slurs.
Yeah.
Just think of us when you're playing cards, not clubs, not.
Yes, yeah.
And
Sam.
He's like, I thought you guys were super oversexed, and he's like, oh, I guess that's why all you white women want to fuck us. And then we get a little they're like bonding a little.
There is a good bit of banter like that.
Right.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And then poor Milo.
Oh, go on, Matt.
I'm sorry. No, it's all right.
Okay, poor Milo. He made some fucking grilled cheese with the fucking crust cut off. He's ready to give it to the cops.
But he fucking scared them. They weren't expecting him to come back with the fucking tomato soup and the crustless grilled cheese.
So good.
And you just hear, I'm standing my ground. And then he's like, whoa, no, it's me, Milo. And they're like, oh, Milo, it's you.
So everybody goes from this fucking, they're joking about racism and everything and lesbian love. And then suddenly everything goes serious. And then they peek back out the window and shit. He's here.
Right. Mr. Henry shows up. And just so happens he was driving while black. So a police car pulls him over. And they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm going to my apartment. Are you sure? Do you live there? And then he just runs.
Are you sure you live there? Yeah. And he panics at that question and throws the lady with them at the cops, pulls out a gun, and shoots at them.
Right.
I've lost a lot of great loved ones that way.
Right. And as it's usual, he gets shot in the back. Standing my ground. Shot him in the back.
They go down, they check on him. Why the fuck you shoot him in the back? This is our best lead, and that's where we're gonna cut to the next morning.
Next morning, Chalmers is chewing him out. He's like, I got the fucking police commissioner on my ass. You guys have 48 hours to fucking solve this case or you're off the case. And at this point, Danny and Jesse are in too deep. They like, we have to solve this case.
Right.
So they got to fire up their ass now.
It just turns out as they're getting chewed out, Chalmers gets handed a little folder with new information about their Native American friend. Oh, wait. He's not American. He's Canadian.
Oh, my
Mind
God.
blown.
How did they find out? He had a bunch of fucking loonies in his pocket.
That's got to be it.
Loonies.
Poutine stains all over his pants.
So,
huge. Big
Canadian bacon grease everywhere.
That's right.
So, I guess they get a lead to where his hideout is, which might be on Belle Isle, might be on Blablo.
Could be.
They find his hideout. I guess like a Canadian cop, I guess, contacts him. And I guess the Canadian cop must have known where his hideout is. So there's he was on a horse.
Even in Windsor, they're on horses. I will save you now.
Dudley Do-Right is, there. So they find out where this Native American. Do we ever learn this guy's name? Injun Joe? Like, what the fuck was his name?
Injun Joe, which is a Western they'll make a year later.
That was also the name of a homeless guy in my hometown. People were like, I remember my mom knew like a relative of his, and I'm like, well, why the fuck don't they get him off the street? Oh, he likes living on the street. Yeah, he likes love being homeless. So anyway, they're looking through the shit. They notice that like the TV is still kind of warm. Like this guy was just here. We just missed him. Whoever was going through this place because the Indian's dead, obviously. And they look out a window, and lo and behold, there's a suspect. So they run out and chase him, and we get a very long and boring boat chase. Was there anything that stood out for you, Matt, about this chase?
No, I thought of you guys because I know you guys are experts in chase scenes. Because first it was a foot chase because Jesse played ball, and then it turned into a boat chase because they got participation, from the city and the police department. So throw them in boats, let them run around, whatever.
By the way, we also did learn that there was tickets to a cruise, and they're like, why is this guy going? Why wouldn't he get on a fucking train or a plane? Why a cruise? And Danny's like, well, isn't that the perfect thing? Nobody would suspect anybody to take off on a cruise.
What?
Yeah, we'll get to that. That's
okay.
A problem.
Never mind. Yeah, we won't worry about that right now.
Because when I want to go to the Caribbean, I think I start in Detroit first.
And they also ask a question, well, why go to the trouble of getting this guy's leg amputated and then just kill him? What's going on with this guy?
Right.
So we're like, why is this Indian guy so important? And then we have the boat chase, and he's very familiar because it's Ferdy on this boat chase.
It was Ferdy.
It was Ferdy. Because he had that great hat with the gold like.
Well, the problem I have with that is they never really. I didn't think they got that close to his hat where he could see the gold brick, brim
band,
band on it. Because it's like when we met Rupert or Mr. Rupert or whatever from the previous scene, the stakeout, Milo. No, not Milo. Not
Mr. Henry. Rupert Arms was the name of the.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Mr. Henry. Henry also had the wide brim hat on.
Oh.
And so at first I was like, oh shit, that's Ferdy.
He also had a mustache with sideburns.
And so I thought that was Ferdy at first. And so I thought they were just playing all kinds of misdirections.
So what do we learn? All black people look the same to Griff.
Wow. I'm not even talking about the skin color. I'm talking about their fucking hat, and you take that 10 steps too far.
Well, fortunately, Ferdy gets away. So where do you go when you've run out of leads? Where do you go? You go back to the whorehouse. You don't go back to your sad apartment. You live by yourself because your wife's in an insane asylum for racism.
That's right.
And he's with Barbara. She
Well, she just put herself in his bed.
Right. Yeah, he just went to the whorehouse to sleep it off. And then Ethel comes in. And she's like, look, I know you're having troubles with Maddie. Why don't you just sell out? This is like the third person to tell him, why aren't you a dirty cop?
Right. Even our straight cop Jesse is like, how the fuck have you not sold out and just flown the coop?
Yeah, because we forgot to mention, well, they're at Rupert Arms. He's like, I know your type. I studied psychology at Wayne University. And you're all pent up. There's something down. You're not on the surface. You look like you're serene, and but up inside, there's some shit going on in there.
Definitely.
And it's gonna blow up one of these days because you're waiting for that one big payoff.
Right. And so here's Ethel again telling him, money will cure all, baby. My wife is uncurable. I'm not talking about your wife. I've seen the pain in your face and your penis. You need to get the money and fucking run.
Right. And he's just like, I can't. I'm the one honest cop. Does some nasal spray shot. And then
I'm in the running for one of the good ones. You got to let me win this.
Is he?
How did he know about Roby? He brings her up, right?
Doesn't he bring
Or does she bring her up?
No, he brings up the fact that, hey, do you have a new, educated girl around here? Or something like that? He asked it in kind of like a roundabout way, and he's like, and Ethel does say, oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're subletting one, yeah.
Something like that. I forget exactly how it came up.
But she's like, yeah, she's got her own place. She hasn't even got a college degree. He's like, what? In screwing?
Good joke.
And she's like, she actually made the call to Mr. Cooley about that leg amputation.
Really?
So he's just like, another lead.
Yeah.
So he calls in Roby. He wants to talk to her.
She's got, obviously she's got her own place and everything. They have her number. They call her. They tell her, and she, he's that call. Shows up at the police station to talk to Dan. And
this is the first time I've ever seen a prostitute walk in, not being dragged into a police station.
Right. Well, you notice
Groundbreaking cinema.
That's the one original thing apparently this movie had. Everything else was an homage to another movie.
The sign said horrible crimes and theft, not prostitutes though. So I think that's why you didn't see any
so they're
prostitutes
down the hallway. Getting
exactly. But she comes into the station to talk to Dan, and she admits that she called in. The guy said it was life or death. So she was gonna call in. She doesn't want some fucking dude to die around her. And then she starts yelling at Dan about the situation because Dan's, he's trying to put the squeeze on her a little bit. He's trying to
well, because she came in of her own volition, and now she's like, "Are you trying to pin this shit on me?" Like, because he's leaning on her a little. He wants to get more information.
Yeah, and we all know about
because he wants to know who called you, because obviously they needed a doctor who's on the down low. So he's like, "Who called you saying they needed this?"
Yeah.
And we know it's Ferdy, but he doesn't know that right now.
Right. So she starts yelling at Dan and then just excuses herself.
I know my rights, and she walked out.
She walks out, heads across down the block, down the street to the old White Tower Hamburgers.
Right.
The place Griff had to look up. Based out of Milwaukee.
Okay.
Hundreds of stores during the Depression were built. Last operated one was in Toledo in 2022. It burned down.
Oh man, we could have
Toledo, right? One. Yeah, I go to Toledo all the time. I didn't realize that was a thing. I would have gone there.
Oh,
I missed
only we had done this last year.
I missed my opportunity.
So she calls up Ferdy, and he's hiding out at. Is he in Windsor? I thought he was just at one of the club that he hangs out at, because it's Ferdy's.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't even think Ferdy was involved with the heist. He got the people together.
She kept saying that he was in Canada.
Okay.
And I assume that meant Windsor.
Well, yeah, it would be Windsor then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I put Windsor there.
So while that's going on, Dan's like, he's like, hey, run a background check on this Ferdy guy. We need to know what's up with him.
So as we're getting the conversation between Roby and Ferdy, because she goes to that White Tower and calls him up, and she's telling her, like, yeah, don't fucking say a single thing.
No, he tells her, he's like, give up the heist gang, because they're gonna kill our ass, because they weren't part of the robbery. Ferdy, he put them together, so he's like, just give them up, we're safe.
Yeah.
Like, because these guys will kill our ass if they think we're going to give them,
But Roby is freaked the fuck out because
Right.
the police are on her tail. So she's like, no, I need more of this. I need to get the police off me. And he's just like, yeah, that's cool, babe. Bye. One love, kisses, hangs up.
So she gets in a cab and goes to Ferdy's place. But hey, who's there? The Heights guys are waiting for her. And they grab her, and they're asking about where that jewelry and that money is.
It's a nice thing you got a pretty face because I like to slap them. They're really abusive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're criminals.
They're criminals, everybody.
All right, cut to. We talked about how Jesse's all about giving back to the community. Well, he's at the rec league. Why? Okay, we're having a nice shirts versus skins match. Why were the coaches shirtless?
Hey, I want to ask you guys this question.
Is it a Catholic youth group?
No, that would be pantsless. Pants.
Yeah.
Jesus.
No.
Maybe I don't want to ask you guys that question.
No, I don't think. Is it Promise Keepers meeting? Is this what it is? Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but Dan. But we see that kids are having a scuffle, and he tells them to shake it off. Shake hands.
Like Taylor Swift.
Right. And that's where
Grammy
she got,
Award winning.
Yeah, that song was based on this movie.
Yeah.
And then Dan comes in. He's like, "Wow, you're not so bad after all. You work at the Catholic Youth Center. I got a lead. We got to get the fuck out of here." He's like, "All right, we do that." So they show up at Ferdy's place just as Roby's getting the shit kicked out of her.
Yeah. She's actually running out of the room when they find her because she actually gets shot in the back as Jesse's coming up the stairs to find her dead there. Well, dying there.
Oh no, they shoot her so much that she gets a flashback pulled out of her body.
That is what happens when
she astral projects to the past.
I feel like the level is when you're at 49% blood loss is when you start going into flashbacks. So that's clearly what she's at.
And he's like, Roby? He recognized her. She's like, Jesse. We now we finally learned they have some past.
Wayne University.
And she's like, I want to do what's right. I want to make a deal. And then we get right into the flashback. Yeah. And we're back at the whorehouse, Ethel's whorehouse. And Ethel's like, Roby, I got a trick for you. He specifically asked for a black woman, a lot of money.
Like at least 45 to 65% of Ethel's whorehouse is black women.
Yeah.
But yeah, they wanted an educated black woman, apparently.
Educated in the carnal arts.
Carnal arts?
So she gets brought to this nice place. So nice that whores go the back at this place.
Well, who do we have escorting her?
Drew.
He's
all business. He has no respect for her at all.
Right.
Like,
this is Clayton's right-hand man from the beginning of the movie.
She's brought in through the back door.
This is the service entrance. Why would you be bringing me in the service entrance?
Well, you're going to be doing some service then, aren't you?
That's fucking cold-blooded right there.
And they take her up, and oh my God, it's fucking Coleman Young. I mean, it's Clayton. And he's talking with fucking his Catman. And his boys
Markham.
About some important business shit, about this fundraiser that's going to happen.
Scatman, of course, is playing the greatest fucking role here of an old creep.
Lecherous old man, yes.
Because he is staring daggers. He's going full wolf in a cartoon, pounding on his leg, tongue rolling over as he stares down Roby.
Clayton, all business. He's like, oh, take off your clothes and go in that room.
Yeah.
I'll be in there. I'll be with you in a moment.
I have to finish prioritizing some organizations here. We're getting some polling numbers in right now, and I'll be right there with you. He even forgets a folder in the bedroom. So he walks in there, leaves the door open. All of his stooges walk in and are just staring at Roby, who has taken her top off, just in her undie.
It's an army of Tex Avery cartoon reactions.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good
they're just drooling.
fucking call.
Yeah.
And Clayton's like, okay, now you gentlemen leave. I have to have coitus with this woman. So he's like, take off your clothes, young lady. Still in a position.
Some people have all the time in the world to get the rocks off. I have to make time.
I'm a very busy man.
And at first, it seems like she's like, yeah, we're all doing business here. I'm cool with that. Am I not?
The great point. Yeah, the great thing is just when she's about ready to get into the character, like a guy. I'm done.
Right. He just takes off his slacks. He's got the garters holding up his socks. Still 9 yards.
Mirror on the ceiling.
Gets on top of her.
Oh, that was it. It was the mirror on the ceiling. Go on.
Right. He gets on top of her. All right. I'm about to put my penis into your vagina.
It's very erect.
And he's like very workmanlike. Like you said, 5-pump chump. He just
That's my
I'm
favorite
done.
wine at Trader Joe's, by the way.
He's like, all right, I'm done. I have ejaculated.
I was just impressed because Roby at first is doing her prostitutally doodies, and
that's my favorite children's show.
This sex was so bad, a hooker got offended by it.
Yes,
That's how bad
at
it was.
first
This was -5 on the Sweetson scale.
Exactly. It was like a 3.5. At first, she's doing her prostitutally doodlies, and she's going, "Oh yes, oh that is a penis in me. Oh,
You actually heard the soul ballad needle scratch to a halt.
Yeah,
they were playing Christian music. All right,
yeah,
that's how unerotic it was.
It got really weird by the second pump, and as you said, there was only 5 of them.
Right.
So it's like, but it felt like an eternity. Great job, editor director, on this scene because those 5 pumps felt like 5 lifetimes.
Right.
The director's cut of this
It's
film.
like when we're searching for a word on the podcast, and it feels like forever. Yeah.
The director's cut of this film has 7 pumps. Just so
okay.
Yeah. It was lagging in the scene.
But after that second pump, she just goes fucking like boink. Maybe this is what happened to Madeline.
Just bad sex from Danny?
Yeah.
All right, then maybe she's not so bad. Maybe she is a candidate for one of the good ones.
Maybe she is.
I don't know.
Maybe we have to throw her back in there because Chalmers ain't it. He throws the N-word around regularly.
So, I remember that. So
you don't remember Chalmers throwing the N-word around?
No.
Yeah, he did.
I thought he was such a sellout that he would know what to say. You know?
No, go back and watch it again. He throws the N-word around.
And he's like, all right, I have ejaculated. You may leave now.
Yep.
And
How do I want
she's
my
offended
coffee?
she's like, oh my God, like I've never had anybody fucking, treat me like that.
Right.
I mean,
And then Drew just pops into the room, licks his thumb, 100, 200.
No, I love this line. She's like, I've been paid for it. Do you want to get, because he was so not, it was just literally business. I have to come right now. I would fuck a sock if I had this. I just need to ejaculate. And so she wasn't even human to him. She was literally a blow-up doll. And
So that's why she went blank.
She's so offended by that. She's like, maybe I can get something from Drew. I got gay vibes off Drew. I think he hates women. He was just like, I'm not into you.
Drew's aspirations are interesting.
But I love, he said something to the effect, I'm not gonna take a ride on that wet deck or some shit like that.
Matt, you remember what he said here?
No, that sounds like it. That's terrible. Yeah.
It was like that. He's like, yeah, I'm not into sloppy seconds. Like I'm not going there.
I mean, we do know that he despises Aubrey Clayton.
Yeah.
So maybe he really does not want to put his dick where his dick just was.
Oh no, maybe he spells it out. I don't do that. I don't.
Yeah,
do sloppy seconds.
you said the dick in the wet deck.
It was the wet. It was something. Deck was definitely in it. I don't know if maybe it was sloppy deck. It was supposed to be like a deck of a ship.
I don't want your sloppy Dickens.
Yeah. So he's just like, no.
So of course, Roby, after she gets this information, because while she's in this apartment and everything, she's overhearing all the campaign information. She's overhearing this big the Troops Fest. They were still working on the name, but we know it became the Hail the Heroes Fest.
So she goes straight to her man Ferdy,
calls him up,
and she's like, I can't believe this motherfucker. I got the best pussy in town, and he just was not into it.
He doesn't give a shit.
And he's like, well, maybe he says, he drops the line, well, maybe now you found out that not all brothers are brothers.
Yeah.
Because they see through this phony shit of Clayton.
He has to get her over the fact that somebody was not interested in her, even though she's a young, incredibly attractive woman. He's got to get her over that fact. And then once he does, he finds just like, we got to rob these people. We got to get all that fucking money.
Right. He's like, yeah, baby, enough about you. Tell me more about this money. And then the gears start turning in his head.
Yeah. Once we get all the money, we'll right all those wrongs. Everybody who fucks you, all your Johns that fuck you will treat you respectfully when we have money. That's probably something Iceberg Slim said to his prostitutes.
So we come out of the flashback, and she's like, Ferdy did it. He pulled it off. So Ferdy was the mastermind. I was thinking the whole time, oh, so Clayton is going to run the scheme.
Yeah, and like he set up for political, yeah.
But no, that's the one time where he's honest.
And then she starts fading away. Remember Holly Hill, where we went after Holly Hill. Holly Hill.
And now I die. She dies in his arms.
Whew. Is it a little spoon-fed here, Matt, or are we getting a good pace?
I think of the Shakespearean line before you die when you say, I am slain, and then die. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mama's dead.
Thank you.
Roby's dead. She was so giving head.
Got shot several times with the lead.
She is dead.
And now she's dead. All right, so now Chalmers.
Sorry to Curtis Mayfield.
Oh no,
that was James Brown. Mama's dead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry to James Brown. Giant
not a bad guess though.
Yeah.
Just for Final Jeopardy, we would say, wow, close, but
so
no cigar.
Jesse calls it into Chalmers. What he just heard. His partner Sam arrives because remember, Jesse's a homicide detective, so Sam is his real partner. He's just working with Danny on this one case.
Right.
And he's like, was this something she said? Holly, I got this. This confuses me. This scene right here. He's like, Holly Hill.
This is getting difficult because now we saw Danny arrive and look over as Jesse was comforting Roby as she died.
Yeah.
And then Danny disappeared.
He heard Ferdy, so maybe he knows Ferdy.
He heard a little bit of what Ferdy said there about Holly Hill and everything, and then he disappears. So on this call, which we don't know if it happens a day or an hour later or how long.
It just happened. I think it just happened. Right now.
Let's go with that assumption. So he's asking, he's telling Chalmers, like, yeah, I got this new information. I'm going to go check this out and everything. And Chalmers is all cool. Where's Danny? I have no clue.
Yeah, he took off. So apparently Jesse did not see him because he made it sound like he hasn't seen him in days. No. They came together. So, Danny just took it because Danny, I think he heard Ferdy and he knew some light bulb went off in his head, so he took off.
So,
and this is where we're also thinking: is he a good cop or is he crooked?
Right?
Why'd he take off?
That's a good point. Jesse's got a new intuition there, and he's like,
Holly Hill.
Fuck, let's go there. Him and Sam go over. We got to call this shit in. Because he's like looking around the neighborhood and everything.
We see that Holly Hill is this church. It's an abandoned church. So he goes inside, looks around. And then, see, this is where I got confused. I don't know how they connected the dots with this scene.
They had a date. That's all I can think of. Because the one sign we see is Tony's bar. But it's across the street from the building we're about to be at.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. How did going to Holly Hill correlate to finding the hideout?
I think they went on a date. I think that's how they knew each other.
No, I know, but how does that correlate? Because the heist guys are in another building, like across the street. How did going to Holly Hill make him think go over to that building?
Well, she
Any
said
ideas,
the place
Matt?
we went to. She said the place we went to after Holly Hill.
Okay,
does that sound right, Matt?
I'm gonna guess the script told him to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, because what's that have to do with the heist guy?
I thought she said something about it, but even still, it's like they were.
I thought she mentioned Holly Hill before she died, and then
she did.
We plot things happened, and here we are.
Yeah, they
we have a gangbang of a finale coming up.
Yeah.
Not literally. So
this is one of the things that doesn't get this movie above like a 6.5 because it's just how they piece it all together. There's so many good parts, but this is one of the fucking weird parts of it the leads and all that.
Yeah, somehow going to Holly Hill, he figures out where the hideout is of the heist guys, which is across the street. It's not at Holly Hill.
All we know is they met at Wayne University years before. Roby tells us he will recognize me. Then they recognize each other. Maybe they did something together.
They had a relationship. That was
so clearly they went to the Holly Hill church together.
Yeah.
And then she said, I thought I heard her say the place we went to after Holly Hill.
Okay.
So maybe the bar, and then the place was actually across the street from the place. So she was doing the best she could to get them in the area.
Oh, so she was telling it like in code?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
So I thought that's what was
All
happening.
right, that makes a little sense.
A little bit. It's still kind of a stretch. It's kind of dumb, but hey.
We're in the last 15 minutes of the movie. We got to end the movie. Yeah. So they go, they find, and lo and behold, that is where the heist group is hiding out with Ferdy. And then we just get
all the cops show up and immediate shootout.
Yeah.
And this is where we get into the real thick of the action, which is just people running on train tracks.
Yeah, people just running around. We're running through cemeteries. People driving cars.
Anything anybody recognize here? Because I don't want to really talk about people running for 14 minutes.
There's a chopper. I remember that.
You remember a chopper?
I see the Ambassador Bridge.
I was gonna say I think that was Ambassador. So I think that rules out Zug Island. Okay. I thought maybe Zug Island were here. I don't know what this could be. Maybe this is what it looks like behind the fucking big old Central Station that we used to have.
All I know is, go ahead, Matt.
Oh, the fact that we go from shootout to foot chase to car chase, and then there's horses. I'm like,
yeah,
everybody went to the A-team bad guy school of marksmanship because there's thousands of shots, and I think only 2 people are hit.
But they're always hitting the neck. That's the thing.
Yeah, they're hitting the neck, and by the way, this film saved a lot of money on squibs because there's like 3,000 shots in the cemetery, but only 2 headstones get hit during the whole sequence.
Here's a question for our weapons master, Jack, if he's still listening to this long episode.
Yeah, please.
We get a character who gets shot in the arm. Sold it very well. His arm is dead. He's not using it. Yeah, he's got an M16, all right? Fucking assault rifle. He's firing it like a handgun. I don't think you could do that. I don't know, Jack, if I'm wrong, let me know.
We kind of like when the Hong Kong guys held their guns sideways, that kind of visual badassery. That's my guess, but yeah, Jack, verify, please.
Yes, I think there'd be a lot of recoil for an M16.
Yeah.
So exactly. We've seen too many videos on YouTube of gun shooting gone bad, and it's good for us and bad for them.
There was some Russian dude who was all about just shooting guns and everything, and then he disappeared for a while. That was a story on YouTube.
He's probably fighting in Ukraine right now.
Anyways.
So all the gang is killed. That's all you need to know.
Let's just go with that, yeah.
And then
Ferdy.
Except Ferdy gets captured.
Yes.
Trying to sneak away. And he's just like, he says that Indian guy killed himself, man.
This is what he's telling Jesse.
Right. He's like, let's just make a deal. Sam arrives, and he says, hey, man, we killed like 8 people. And it was a very diverse group of gang members. He actually does point that out because there were blacks and whites working together. It was beautiful, man. Yeah. You see all the cultures come together to do a robbery. You don't see that a lot.
Right, man.
So Ferdy's ready to talk because he's the only guy left. He's going to take the fall for everything.
Right. And Jesse does a great job of just being like, shit, you're right. We can work something out here. So they go out on a private car ride together.
Right.
They're gonna, and Ferdy's all willing to talk about everything he knows because he wants to get out of this as clean as possible.
Right.
And so he's talking about, he brings up the name, Roby and everything, and how he hid the stuff over at her place, I think.
Well, no, he tells this how everything went down. He's like, look, the Indian.
Oh, yeah.
The reason the Indian was working with us, the Canadian Indian, is because he was going to be our fence for all the jewelry, and he was going to take it to Canada to get it fenced. So we're getting on the boat, where they left the Can-Am truck van, and this was like, oh my god, are you kidding me?
Too far.
So there was a shotgun on the boat, and the Indian bumped into it or something and shot himself in the leg.
Yes.
And that's why they had to go to Dr. Cooley, because he was not going to give up the name of his fence, because they would have just killed him and left him. That's why they, didn't kill him then. It's because they needed the name of that fence to get the fucking money. So they took him to Dr. Cooley.
What is the fence?
You don't know what a fence is?
Please help me.
That's a guy who sells hot goods for you.
Okay.
Like jewelry or anything that's stolen goods.
Okay.
It gets you cash.
And obviously, the Trenton ladies are known all through Detroit and downriver Detroit. So you can't just sell this in Detroit.
Exactly, yeah. So that's why they needed him. So he's like, I got all this shit at my place, or at Roby's place.
I thought it was Roby's.
It might have been.
Because we see Jesse pick up a picture of him, a newspaper clipping, in this apartment. And I don't think Ferdy would have a newspaper clipping of Jesse in his place.
So that's a little thing to say she still loved him. That was the love of her life, probably.
Yeah.
And she was still checking up on him, even though they'd broken up. She still knew what he was doing in his life.
Kids break up for various reasons,
Right.
Some people aren't ready to be adults together.
And he's like, yeah, man, I got it in this yellow suitcase. It's right. He's like, wait a minute, it's gone. What the fuck? The next shot we see,
this is
yellow suitcase being held by a yellow-bellied sapsucker, Danny.
He can't be one of the good ones. He's
No
clearly
way.
a rat fuck.
No way. He's fine. Jesse was right about him. He's finally got his big payday, and he's gonna sell out.
Yeah, it can't be a good one. He's a sellout.
So that's where he went after Roby got killed, Griff. All the things are falling into place.
Exactly.
And he's getting on a cruise ship. Remember that cruise that the Native American was going to go on? And a man, like the purser or something of the cruise ship's like, sir, he notices that yellow suitcase. Like, sir, I've been waiting for you. Come with me. Takes him off the boat, and they go somewhere in the docks or whatever. And we meet the fence, Oscar.
That's right.
While that's going on, Jesse gets in the fucking tunnel to Canada, and he's fucking chasing. Is it still that dark? Because there was no lights in that tunnel. They just had the fucking headlights to go by.
When was the last time you went?
You couldn't afford lights at that time. No, you had to tack that. So.
Yeah.
Have you gone to Canada in both the tunnel and the bridge?
Yes.
Yeah, I have too.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. And so you have, but I'm still waiting for the Princess Cruise to go to the Caribbean via the Erie River.
It's one of those river cruises. You seen that now? They have like river cruises. Like who the fuck wants to go down the Mississippi in a cruise ship?
Only if Sensei Seagal is there with Lightning Hopkins, but yeah, that's not happening.
It would be fucking cool as shit if the Mississippi's not dried up and they made that like a whole fucking thing where there's a bunch of businesses down, like cool businesses, not Subways, fucking Harkonnen Subway shops everywhere.
So Danny's pretending.
I want to ask Matt a question here, real quick.
Sure.
I know we're going long. We're at let's see, about 2.5 hours here.
Well, that's what I expected. So don't worry.
Yeah, exactly.
We're good.
Yeah.
I want to ask you how Indiana's feeling, if there is any feeling about a Gordie Howe Bridge in Michigan. Do you guys know about that?
I can't spell hockey, yet alone play it down here. No, that's
a good point.
Not entirely true. The Indianapolis, we have the minor league team, the Indianapolis Fuel, and they're fine. Indianapolis was once home of the minor league team, the Racers, which had that Gretzky guy come out of it.
Oh no shit!
As far as minor league hockey, it's cool, it's fine. Yeah, they don't know about the bridge. That's
okay.
That's league.
Okay, it's a bit, it's a fucking thing over here. Getting into Canada.
It's funny you mention that because on this week's film Sociology at WFYI.org, one of my frequent listeners talked about there is a film called The Gordie Howe Story.
Okay.
Which was apparently made for cable television because it's a film with Gordie Howe and he doesn't swear.
Do you
so apparently Gordie Howe said goshers and gee willikers on the ice, and I'm like, is this Hallmark hockey that we're playing?
Do you hold Gordie Howe in high esteem? because I have a story. I have a story that probably will make you not feel so good about.
Oh no, please.
Well, maybe I shouldn't tell it then.
That's the Detroit
Is it worse than the Sports Center commercial where he's going to threaten to put up Keith Olbermann against the boards?
It doesn't paint him in a nice picture.
Can I say, does he question the historical background of some of the players on the ice?
No, it's nothing racist or anything.
That's good.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe I should tell you off, Mike. This might bum out a lot of hockey fans.
Okay.
I love pro athletes in their 40s and 50s because I can relate to them because I'm not one. So okay, all right.
Okay. So Danny is pretending to be the guy that the Indian guy was going to send.
Yeah, that's right.
And the Oscar, the fence, he's just like, because he's like questioning him, like, well, how are you gonna get rid of all this ice? That's what they call it, ice when it's jewels.
Right. Well, I flip it for opium, of course, my boy.
He's like, I got a lot of dealers in the Middle East, and they don't trust paper money, man, because inflation and all that shit. So they want jewelry. Yeah. And for the jewelry, they give me opium. And he's like, wow, like fucking Danny's getting ready for the fucking Middle East connection. He's just like, yes, like he's
everything. It's the roller coaster effect. It's all ratcheting upwards, and so Danny's just like, oh my god, I'm going.
Well, that's the thing. Right now, we're wondering though, is he like, oh my god, I have the biggest bust in my career, or am I going to make a shit ton of money off of this?
This is why this movie is actually fucking good, because it's like, I don't know what the fuck's happening right now. I'm feeling two different ways about Danny. Is he this cool guy? Is he this fucking rat kind of guy?
And then the guy, go ahead.
I'm sorry if I may. There are certain actors in today's world, especially now because actors are fabricated and packaged and presented. But there are also some character actors, supporting actors, where you can't cast them in a film because you know they're going to screw you by film's end. I just reviewed a film, an IFC thriller where apparently early on Danny Houston is supposed to be one of the good ones. And like, no, he's not. He's gonna turn heel by the end of the film. And but what's good about this film is that you don't know about Danny until the very end.
Right. And even then, it's up to debate.
Right.
And that's what we're gonna get to here.
So Oscar, he pulls a Columbo. He goes, oh, one more thing. The guy I was supposed to meet was supposed to be black. And that's where the goon, Oscar's goon, pulls out a gun, shoots Danny in the chest.
Right.
Jesse arrives, I was going to say in the nick of the time, but no, if it was the nick of time, he would have saved Danny.
Right.
And he starts shooting. He shoots the goon in the head, kills him, finds Danny dying. They rush him out to an ambulance, calls in for an ambulance.
Right. We just kind of cut to when the ambulance arrives. Jesse jumps into the ambulance with Danny. They're riding together. And Danny he's about to die. So he's just saying all kinds of shit. But one of the things he's saying is like, man, I just wish I was black. I would have got the greatest bust of all time. And Jesse he's not willing to accept that. He's like, wait, was it the greatest bust? Or were you taking that money and running, man?
And he's like, nasal spray. He's like clutching at his
squeeze.
And just is about to take one last snort. And now he does the Shakespeare thing, and now I die. Dies.
I am slain. Yes.
I am Zounds. I am slain.
Zoons, yes.
And
with the William Marshall voice.
I'm slain.
I am slain.
So now he's dead. We're at the press conference. The great bust has happened.
Next day.
We got the Trenton sisters, their jewelry back. Clayton is hamming it up in front of the camera.
I did it all by myself.
Dead is dead.
Died with a nasal spray in his nose.
He is dead. Yeah.
And he's just he's basically taking all the credit, Clayton, because we learned from Drew he's a scumbag.
Mm-hmm.
So then Jesse walks out. His lady's there waiting for him in the car. Gets in, and she's just like, "So, what do you think? Was he gonna run with that money?" And he's like, "I don't fucking know. I don't know if he was the worst cop I've ever met or one of the good ones." And that's why Danny is one of the good ones. Because I choose to believe he was going to take the bus. I don't believe he was going to run with the money.
Matt?
Here's what's great about this film. Every individual audience member has their own individual human path. So if life is shit on you or shat on you, you'll think he's one of the bad ones. But if you're a good person and you've persevered over time, you'll think that he is one of the good ones. And yeah, I'm with you on this one. He's one of the good ones, even though Madam Adam Ethel should be runner up in case he cannot fulfill his one of the good one duties.
This is true.
And the young girl is third.
Barbara.
We have a gold, silver, bronze in this show.
Yeah, and that's very rare. In Black Exploitation History Month, we don't
Very
get
rare.
almost 3 candidates for
That's right.
one of the good ones.
I mean,
sometimes we're struggling for one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very true. I mean, I gotta give it to Danny as well. It's just like this guy, who's clearly a person who goes through hell, misery. He goes through the gauntlet every fucking day. He lost the promotion because he was too good at his job. That he put in 8 hours on his job, 12 hours on his job, 15 hours on his job, so much so that he didn't go out to do the credentials to get the raise that they wanted.
Right. And he was so dedicated to his job, he was away from his wife all this time. And that probably ruined his marriage.
Yeah, that paralyzed her and made her pussy dysfunctional as well. And so they couldn't have sex anymore. And she had to go into a racist hospital. Not a racist hospital.
The hospital's not racist.
Yeah, I know. She's the racist.
Her tirades are racist.
Dude. Hamtramck Racist Hospital. Can I help you?
You've never met a Polish person, apparently.
That's right. Suck on this poochki while we fucking give you surgery.
No, but yeah, and then at the end of this film, this is one where I wrote in my notes, it's like kind of a TV ending movie feel where last thing we do get the place card thanking the Detroit Police Department and the city of Detroit for their participation. Even though they'd give us vans that are unmarked and they'd cut a few corners, they did let us film and use helicopters in a lot of places.
Right. It's a thought that counts.
It is. It is.
So, wow. Thank you for doing this Odyssey with us, Matt.
This Detroit adventure.
Couldn't have done it without you. We needed some more Detroit.
We really needed to pad this out an extra hour and a half.
Did I break the record for
longest? No.
Oh, okay, all right.
We actually had a guest tap out, for Christ's sakes. So I'm proud of you, Matt.
That's right.
You were doing you did your cardio this week. I can tell.
That's right. That's good. That's a good point.
Because most people are sucking air right now. They're just taking a hit off of an oxygen tank.
So you're saying he's the real Ric Flair of our show?
He is. He's the Iron Man.
Styling and profiling.
Goddamn right.
And if you ladies know where the Indianapolis Hilton is, no, I'm kidding. I don't know.
You'll be at the dumpster?
No, I will not.
Oh, he'll be at the
Helicoptering?
bar. He'll be at the bar with the kamikazes.
Oh, wait, if you listen very carefully, Mrs. Socey's laughing her ass off, so that's
good.
Right.
But yeah, thank you, Matt, for coming on. Always, thank you for just being such a great friend of the show, because I know that Matt is always dropping our name on his show, and we appreciate that so much.
For real, thank you.
It's my pleasure. Shows got to look out for other shows like Film Sociology at WFYI.org. But no, I appreciate you guys, and it's good to have some Michigan representation on the airwaves and in the air, internet, whatever. So no, keep at it. Keep fighting a good fight.
No, thank you. We will keep fighting a good fight, and we hope you remain on those airwaves.
And by the good fight, we mean we're going to continue doing Black Exploitation History Month, no matter how few people listen to us. Because this is a mission for us. You need. This is the thing. I wish I could talk to these people who don't listen right now to tell them you need to broaden your horizons of what action is, people.
Right.
All right? Black people can kick ass just as well as white people.
All
right? And we're doing that every February. And we're going to do it even more because we're not going to just segregate Black people to just February. I'm going to start incorporating more Black action, and you're all going to love it.
It's goddamn right.
All right. We've been to L.A. We've been to Philly. We've been to Detroit.
I don't know where else there is. Alberta?
the Windy City, Griff. We're going to Chicago next week. Because one thing I've noticed, and I didn't plan this, but the main character of every movie we've done died at the end. We need something fun and uplifting to conclude, because this next week is sadly the last episode of Blaxploitation History Month for 2023.
Yeah,
it just felt like a week ago we just started, and it's already at its end.
That's the worst part about making Black History Month the shortest month of the year.
Yes.
We say this every February. Why is it the shortest month? Like, we talk about just inherent racism in America, and people are like, no, that's not a thing.
What we need to do is make it March and make Women's History Month February, because who cares what women contributed, you know? I noticed Matt's totally silent right now for that. So,
Miss Socey, I was not a part of the ending. I'm over here. I love you. Yeah.
So we're gonna not only we're going to the Windy City, Chicago, with two of our favorites are returning. One who hasn't been on since the first. I'm talking about Rudy Ray Moore.
Oh shoot!
Oh, I know this.
But that's not just Rudy Ray Moore. Mr. Yaphet Kotto also is going to be next week. Yes, people, we're ending it with a fun PG movie. This is a PG movie. The Monkey Hustle, starring Yaphet Kotto and Rudy Ray Moore next week.
Can't wait.
So everybody, I don't even have to tell you to keep it warm, because it's 50 degrees outside in the middle of February. But I'm going to tell you anyway.
Yeah, keep it cool in your beds tonight.
Yes, but keep it warm every Wednesday night. Keep it warm, people.